Contemporary morality, such as it exists in our society, and which is currently called bourgeoisie morality, is made up of two quite different elements. One of these is what is left of the Christian morality developed in the Middle Ages and transformed in the 16th and 17th centuries. It emphasizes the individual virtues and is oriented toward charity. The other is a technological morality emphasizing collective virtues and oriented toward work. We must remember, moreover, that these two elements are not contradictory. It is Christian morality, in the form which it took from the 16th century on, which has been preparing the way for the development of technological morality. Really? In fact, this Christian morality corresponded at that time to the development of the bourgeoisie world. It emphasized the protection of property. Theft becomes an important theme in this morality. It makes work a virtue. It affirms individualism. It dwells on the fact that the world was entrusted by God to man for him to exploit. That justified man in committing himself to the course which the bourgeoisie opened up, the course which the bourgeoisie opened up, that of work to the point of excess, productivity, the priority of economy, etc. For its part, the technological enterprise was the more justified through the emphasis on the ridding of the world, the ridding of the world of its religious taboos by Jesus Christ. This emphasis came in with the Reformation in the 16th century. The world is no longer a place inhabited by obscure powers, gods, or demons, which need to be feared and respected. It is material, and man can do in it what he pleases.
Hey,
Hello. Do you
um,
accept that? What's up?
what's up? You are claiming that God exists?
Correct. I'm a Christian.
Yeah. I was just wondering what evidence you had, or if you needed evidence, I guess, to make that claim, in your
Yeah, I
opinion.
think that the transcendental argument for God is objective proof that Christianity is true. Are you familiar
Well,
with that
I'm
argument?
just objective proof that God is true in general.
Well, yeah, but I specifically prove Christianity. But
Yeah, if you have, do you have objective truth or an objective?
yeah, it's the transcendental argument for God. Are you familiar with that argument?
Oh no, I'm not. If you want to explain your argument.
The idea basically is that like human reason and our observations, like our sense data, is alone without the aid of God. That's like not enough to get us to knowledge or to be able to do science and philosophy. And so it's like necessary, God's revelation is necessary to make sense of like our reason and our sense data so that we can
You're
learn from our
saying
experience
humans wouldn't have reason without God, like wouldn't have be able to make decisions for ourselves? I'm having trouble understanding, I guess.
um yeah, like if all we had was like human reason and observation, then science would be impossible, right? Because like we need God to do science.
Why? How? You still haven't told me how God is like real. Like, do you have evidence or like proof
I'm just saying like
that he exists?
science is only possible if God is real, right? And science is possible, therefore God is real.
So you don't have any evidence or proof that he
That is the
exists?
proof. I just told it to you.
Your proof is that existence.
Like, okay, you understand? Like, if P then Q, P therefore Q. You understand?
Are you joking? I can't tell.
No, I'm making a lot. It's called a logical proof, logical argument.
It sounds like a fallacy.
It's not. It's called modus ponens. It's like one of the most famous types of arguments. So like
That if P then Q.
yeah, like there's an okay. So like think of an apple. What is you couldn't have an apple without an apple tree, right? Because an apple tree is necessary for apples, right?
Um, well, yeah, I guess.
Right. So like if you had an apple but you've never observed an apple tree, that would be like evidence of apple trees because apple trees are necessary for apples. It's like an indirect proof. So I'm just making that type of like reasoning, right? Like that because
Okay,
there's this
but humans would have
necessary.
reason without God too, or they do have reason without God. Like
Well,
they
if you take yeah, but if you take that position, then your reasoning wouldn't. You couldn't. There'd be
so
no.
that's like saying that an apple you could grow an apple in a lab. Like you don't need a tree to grow it, which you don't. I'm pretty sure they could do that probably. They could grow like human lungs and shit like in labs. But what I'm saying is that like
What are
what
you
you're
even
saying is definitive proof.
wrong with this person? You understand that
It
there's a
isn't.
I'm just trying to. The whole point of the apple is to show that there's a necessary relationship. If something's
But
necessary,
there isn't a necessary relationship.
is
And there
there
isn't a
ever a
necessary
necessary
relationship in your
relationship?
analogy either.
Is there ever a necessary relationship? Do you understand the concept of like if something is necessary for something? Like if it's the case, let's say hypothetically, right? You know what that means?
Yes, I'm sure you do a lot of
Hypothetically,
hypotheticals.
if it was the case that apple trees are necessary for apples, then the apple would be evidence of the apple tree because of the necessary relationship. That's logic.
Yeah, okay. No. Like you can make that claim.
Uh-huh. So I'm just saying the same thing with God, that like God is necessary for science. That's the same relationship. So that science is the fact that we can do science is proof of God. Because if there was no God, how you wouldn't be able to explain or make sense of our ability to do science. That's what I'm saying,
But
man.
we can and we do.
No, we can't. Does science prove science?
When you're talking about science, are you talking about literally the entire existence of science and everything that we've ever studied ever, like as a human, like
Yeah.
in existence?
Yes. Does science prove that
So then, yes,
science is
science proves
true?
science.
No, it does not. Science can't prove. Science relies on things it can't prove, right? Like logic. Science can't prove that logic is correct. Did you know that? There's no scientific experiment that shows us that logic is valid, right? Yet, scientific
Okay,
experiments
so
rely on
so
logic.
besides the proof
So
that you literally just
therefore,
gave me, do you have
science
anything
can't
else,
prove
or
science, can
is this
it?
your only bit of proof? Is this your only reasoning for the God's existence?
What? Do you have a problem with transcendental arguments? Are you a transphobe? I'm just making a transcendental argument. So you have some sort of fear of like things that are trans. Hello?
What? Like I just don't
I'm
understand what
making
that.
a
Are you trolling?
transcendental
I can't tell
argument.
if you're being for real or
Well,
not.
it's called a transcendental argument for God, and you're kind of acting like a transphobe.
Do you know what a transphobe is?
Yeah, it's someone who's afraid of the transcendental argument for God.
That's not what a transphobe is. A transphobe is somebody who has an irrational fear against transgender people.
Well, we're gonna change the definition.
Oh, okay, my bad. Then, no, I'm still not a transphobe because I don't have an irrational fear of your argument. Your argument is just a fallacy and it's incorrect.
That sounds bigoted. I don't know. I don't know if we can really move forward because you seem like a bigot.
So if you kick me, I'm just gonna take that as you conceding, I guess. I don't know. What do you mean we can't move forward? You still haven't given me proof or evidence
It's
that God exists.
well. I wish you well. Thanks for coming. I tried my best. Let me join, plus. Well, you asked so nicely. You're very polite.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Um, Okay. Uh, so my thing is, I'm not gonna try to disprove that God exists. I
Uh-huh.
don't think I could. I don't think I can.
So would you
Um,
concede that's irrational to reject the existence of God? That'd be an irrational position.
Hello, hello.
Would you agree then that like atheism is irrational because there's no reason? I think that's true.
Um, yeah, I could see that be. I could see that making sense.
You could see it. Well, I mean, if there's no rationale for it, it just follows that it's an irrational position.
Okay, so here's my thing,
Okay.
right? So God may or may not exist, and we're gonna argue about it. We're gonna say God. You're gonna say God exists. I'm probably about it. God doesn't exist. Um, but any proof that you offer could only come from your words, right? Like I couldn't get real proof that God exists by seeing it, right? Like we could talk about it. We could say that there's signs. We could say that there's like something in the background that indicates the existence of God, but I wouldn't see like proof that's good enough for me, right? Like my version of proof is literally seeing God. And I never have, and I don't think you have too. And I think that enough
How would that
is
prove
not
anything?
enough proof. Like I'm not going to say God doesn't exist or he does exist. I'm just saying there's never been proof that fits my standard of what has to be enough proof for God.
But that's the problem right there. My standard, right? So proof for what's true is just some arbitrary standard that you decide. Like you made yourself God and you decide what's true. And so now everything in your system is arbitrary because ultimately you
I,
just
I,
based on
I
what you think is true.
I get your point. I get your point, but I know chairs are real, right? Like I know cloth is real and blood and hair and like material things. I know those things are real. By definition, anything that's material is real. But by definition, God is not material. So he may or may not exist, but by definition, I can't know that he exists.
Sure
And
you
I
can.
think
He revealed himself, so he's super obvious that he exists. You just hate God.
I'm not following that line of thinking.
God is like the elephant in the room, right? Like you can't be neutral about the elephant in the room. It's obvious. God is obvious. Everything in creation reveals ultimate intention, ultimate design. You cannot. It's you can't rationally deny it. It's impossible.
What
There
do you
couldn't be more evidence for God.
I'm really not following that. Like if I see a chair, I can touch a chair and say that it's a chair, right? If I see like plastic in front of me, I can touch it, pick it up, like feel
Well,
it,
no,
analyze.
you just have perceptions, right?
No, no,
Your
no, no, no,
perceptions.
not at all. It's not perception based.
Yes, it is. Just because you perceive the chair and you sense it that it's there, it doesn't mean the chair is actually there in some external world. That's a logical leap. You wouldn't be justified in thinking that.
I, that makes sense. That makes sense.
So when you deny God's revelation, atheists want to make fun of people who believe in God and say we believe in Sky Daddy and a fantasy and Harry Potter. Well, guess what? Physical objects are a fantasy if you don't believe in God because you would have no justification for your belief that physical objects are real. That's a fairy tale. That now your whole life, you're just a character in Harry Potter now. It's your whole life.
So what I'm saying is that chairs exist because if I don't exist, the chair, I presume, will continue to exist because other people also perceive the chair. But
Prove anything though.
if nobody believed in God and somebody said God exists and then they died, would somebody else also say that God exists even though there's no material,
Look,
indication of it? There might be indications. Maybe that's not the best wording, but there's no material that says God, that literally is God, like a microwave.
Literally everything says God.
But I feel like we have
There
different
can't be more evidence for God.
I feel like I'm not understanding your point. So could you give me a definition of what God is so that I can understand that a little better?
God is like a necessary mind that created everything. Everything derives and depends.
You're saying like what it's similar to, but what is it? Like what is he? What is God itself? What is it? You know, like it's like this thing, but what is it
Well,
actually?
the Bible says God is holy. That means he's set apart. So he's radically different than everything in creation. But we can know him through his revelation, what he revealed to us. So what we know through revelation, like God's this like necessary mind that created us in the world.
That's just like, what does that mean? Like what is that? Like is that like, is he made of cotton? Is he made of atoms? Is he made of concepts?
He's ultimate. He's the most fundamental thing, the realest thing. Anything in reality would derive and depend upon God and his existence. He's the first thing that ever existed.
It just seems like a vague dispersion of direct definitions of things that allow you to skirt an actual description of what he is. To me,
I gave you a clear definition. You're just being obtuse.
Not clear at all, man.
Make an argument.
It's not clear at all.
Yeah, well, your petition's absurd. So who cares? What do you think?
I think that chairs are real. I think that metal is real.
Yeah, but you have no reason to think. You have no justification. You think the chair is real, but that's on blind faith, right? You can't prove
Not
that.
at all. I can open my eyes and I see a chair right in front of me, and I know that.
It doesn't logically follow that because you can perceive that the chair actually exists in an extent.
Somebody said God is a coping mechanism for people who are afraid of
Slim
unknown.
Jim.
Death is happening.
Slim
It's
Jim.
going to be real. The
Slim Jim.
pain of
Slim-
death is
I'm
going
gonna
to
kick
happen.
you if you're gonna ignore
If
me.
you're scared of death, it's just.
I wish you
well.
well. That's
I'm just
unfortunate.
letting you know.
The truth, and you hate Jesus. That's unfortunate. But I wish you well. What a gibberator, man.
What's up, man?
Welcome.
Well, I mean, I just think if God exists and he's like a good guy and all, like he's all knowing, right? So
Oh
he knows
yeah.
exactly like how much evidence he would have to give every individual person to make them believe.
Because he's necessary for evidence as a foundation, right? So if you deny God, that's like denying it. All evidence. All evidence is evidence of God. So that means there literally can't be more evidence of God. He made it the world. It's like if there was like a stat, an evidence stat, and God was a character or something, he'd be maxed out on that stat. You couldn't give him more evidence stat. There's it's impossible to have more evidence of God. So you just hate God. That's the truth. But you're probably in denial of that. You think you're neutral.
Well, I just think that if if God knows how much evidence everyone would have to receive to believe in him individually, but they haven't received that evidence, then how can he expect them to believe?
I just told you there can't be more evidence. It's impossible for there to.
But like, I guess having like seen the evidence or something.
What is wrong with you, dude? God is necessary for evidence. If that's true, there can't be more evidence of God. You just hate God. That's what it is.
I hate God. Why?
You hate God, yeah. You might be in denial. Maybe you didn't know that. So I'm here. It's your lucky day.
You seem really angry, man.
God. So now just be honest about it, right?
I don't know. You just seem really angry. Like,
How am I angry, dude?
because like I don't know. I'm just coming up here like all nice, and you're like, oh, you hate God, and yeah.
Well, I just told you God's necessary for evidence, and then you ignored what I presented.
It was like I
Because you
no idea
hate.
what that means.
It's hate. That's hate. You're ignoring the truth because of hate.
Well, I just don't know what it means, and I'm pretty sure no one else in this life does.
You don't know what means, that God's necessary for evidence?
Yeah.
Yeah, that human reason and observation without the aid of God is not enough to prove anything at all. That's what's up.
Like, I don't know. I can prove that like the
If you think
Thames
you can
here.
prove things, then you believe in God. Otherwise, you're contradicting yourself. Because if there was no God, you could not prove anything. If you think you can prove things, you must believe in God. It's that simple.
I like. Surely you can prove some things without God.
Surely you can't. Unfortunately, no, that's not the case. If
Like,
you
how
lived
come?
in if you lived in a world where anything is possible and like objects, like any object was just randomly changing all the time, like apples were turning into automobiles and computers were turning into novels. Everything was just randomly changing. Could you have knowledge in that type of a world? Could you
I guess you
know?
could have knowledge that everything's changing.
You couldn't even have that because it could be like that everything stops changing as soon as you like make that claim.
And then you'd know that everything's stopped changing.
Oh my god.
So you'd have the knowledge
So
of that.
you're being what's called uncooperative. This is a demonstration of your hatred to God.
What? Whoa, what?
Yeah, you know that? Yeah, you hate God. Good thing you ran into me today, huh? You could have
I don't
went
know.
your
You just
whole
seem
life
so
without
angry.
knowing
Like,
that you hate God and thinking that you're neutral to God. But I'm here to tell you that God's obviously true. You can't rationally deny him, and you just hate God, so you'll just refuse to accept anything presented to you. And that's what's up.
I don't know. I just think like, surely as a Christian, you should be trying to convince people that God's real, not just kind
I
of
don't give
shouting
a
at them.
shit. That's between you and God. If you want to be unalive and be eternally separated from God, that's on you. That's not
But
my
like,
fault. It's not
but
my
like,
responsibility, man.
wouldn't God be mad that you're kind of like turning people away from Him?
Um, well, if you read the end of chapter John 6, at the end of the chapter, so my main purpose of my life is just to show that there's like a rational, logical argument that we can prove Christianity, and that atheism is like a joke. It's untenable. It's like a irrational position. So that's the main point of my life, is to confront non-believers with that. You just hate God. It's not that you're just not convinced or something, right? So
But
that's
like, how come you think like all disbelievers hate God? Because like,
what the
if they
Bible
don't
says.
believe God's real, then surely they can't hate Him.
No, that's what the Bible says.
But like, if they, it's like I can't hate ghosts because like they're not real to me.
Okay, but then how do you explain? I just presented like objective proof that Christianity is true, and you're not accepting the proof, and you're not. All I'm getting is like emotion talk from you, right? Like I'm not getting any. You're not like a logical person, so you don't care about truth. Logic is about truth, right? You don't care about logic because I just presented you logic why there's God. You don't care.
But
It's
like,
all what you want to
do you
believe.
expect me to kind of like convert here and now?
I don't care what you do. You can do what you want. I'm just here to prove there's a objective proof Christianity is true. Okay, denying that is irrational. That's it. And so the
Right.
only reason you deny it is because you hate God. There's no other. What other explanation is there?
Well, it's just that like other people have said like, um, or here's the objective proof of God, and I've always ended up going away and looking it up and seeing like counter arguments.
Well, yeah, of course there's counter arguments, but there's no real good counter argument to what I'm presenting to you. Because the only way to counter my argument is you have to tell me like a single unifying principle that would be necessary to make any explanation, make the world intelligible. You're not going to have a single unifying principle unless you're going to lie to me. Because
Right.
it's not possible to know it without revelation. Revelation is necessary for knowledge, and there's no way out of that. And it's easily proven. So,
Right. All right. Have a good day, man.
all right, man, I wish you well. Lefty. Oh my god, there's so many people requesting. Holy crap. Wienerville. Welcome, Wienerville. I can't hear you, like, if you swipe. Oh, welcome. Are you there? I can't hear you if you swipe out. Well, I guess I'll. Hello? Wienerville? Okay. Well, that was Wienerville, ladies and gentlemen. Wienerville. Wienerville? Oh my goodness. I see you, Lefty, but like, I don't know what, like. Welcome, Andrew.
So prove to me that how does a backpack evidence of God?
A backpack is a category or group, right? Like, there's more than one backpack in the world, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a type of, it's called unity in philosophy. The idea that there's this like property or group or category that we call backpack, and that there's like multiple particular instantiations of backpacks. Meaning that's just a fancy way of saying like there's backpack is sort of a property that we apply to different things that exist that have that property, right?
Sure.
Okay, so for backpack to be a property that we can refer, like when we say the word backpack for it to refer to something that's real, that's called a universal. It's a group or category, but a group or a categories don't exist in the world, right?
Why not?
Because like they're not physical things. A category isn't something physical; it's conceptual.
Okay, category. Yeah, category is a concept. I agree.
Right. So for that concept, for us to refer to that, when you say the word backpack, for that to refer to something that's real, that has to exist in a divine conceptual realm, like in the mind of God. So like, it's kind of like Platonism. Like the idea or the category group backpack exists in the mind of God. If you deny God, then you couldn't explain like how does that word exist? Like what is it referring to? So your word, it wouldn't have no meaning Because if the word doesn't refer to anything in existence, there's no meaning to it. So when you use in a non-God world, when you would talk about a backpack, there'd be no meaning or content to like your sentence. So you couldn't even really talk about a backpack in any true or meaningful way if you deny God.
So then this breaks down entirely based on language, because backpack is talking about an item, but there's thousands of words for that item. So which one is God's chosen word for that concept?
It's not just conceptual, because God is actual, right? So he actualizes what a backpack is. So a backpack is a thing that exists in an actual real world sense. It's not just a conceptual thing. I'm not just talking about the world. I'm talking about the actual thing. It's a metaphysical thing.
I agree that backpacks exist, but
Right, so that proves God exists.
but it doesn't, because there's an object that exists, and we as a collective agreed to call it a name, a backpack, or whatever language agreed to call it that name, and we agreed that this thing that we were calling a backpack is this item that we can put stuff in. So there's no need for
telling me
God.
that categories aren't real, but then if categories aren't real, then
Categories are man-made.
backpacks don't exist. Well, then backpacks don't exist.
No, but they do.
That's a category.
It's a category that we made as
When you
humans.
talk about a backpack, you're not talking about anything real. So then you've just destroyed the meaning of your words. So now you can't speak in any meaningful way.
But how am I not talking about
Due to the reductio ad absurdum, God exists.
But okay, so we agree that backpacks are objects, right?
Yes.
And we agree that we classify them as backpacks. Like we classify these objects that are all similar as backpacks.
There's a group called backpack, and there's particular instantiations of that group in existence. Yes.
So backpacks are real regardless what name we give them and without a God, because it's just an object that we are describing.
Right. The word is a token that refers to something that exists. But if there's no God, then the word wouldn't refer to anything that exists, which means you couldn't speak in any sort of like true or meaningful sense.
But the object exists no matter what we name. Like, I don't understand why you need a God to have an object that we just call a thing. Like, that's how language evolved.
To make experience intelligible, we have to be able to categorize and identify that experience. But if our categories are not real, then we can't identify our experiences. And if we can't categorize and identify our experiences, then nothing is intelligible. We couldn't make sense of anything. Everything you say would be gibberish. The words would not refer to anything. And that's what's up. The only way to explain this is with God. There's no way out of this.
Which language is God's language then? Because we have so many different languages to describe these categories.
There's no way out of this. You have to accept God or you're a radical skeptic. That's it.
But I'm confused, right? So like the Spanish call backpacks different things, and they describe them in different ways because they have different words for it. So which one is God's chosen language to make these categories?
The word is just a token. I'm not talking about the token. It doesn't matter what the token is. The token refers to something, right? Or it doesn't refer to something. If it doesn't refer to something, then it doesn't mean anything. And if there's no God, the word doesn't refer to anything. It doesn't mean anything. This is not complicated.
So then what is the category?
What?
What is the category then? Like
a universal. I'm talking about universals.
Is that just like a truth or an object? I don't speak.
It's a group, a category, or a kind of a thing. Those don't exist in the natural world. Naturalism cannot explain them. They are only explained through divine conceptualism, if God exists. If you deny God exists, how the frick are you going to explain universals? When you speak, you use universals.
So I agree that categories don't exist in nature because they're a man-made concept. Objects of similar.
If they're a man-made concept, then they're not real. And if they're not real, that means the words you're saying don't mean anything. They don't refer to anything in reality. That means you're just speaking gibberish to me. That's how nonsense your position is. You can't even talk.
Language is essentially gibberish to those who don't speak the same language. So
When
I
you're
guess
talking, you must believe in Christianity because talking only makes sense if Christianity is true. Because from your position, your words don't mean anything. So I don't know why you're talking. You're contradicting yourself. You must believe in the Christian God.
Do you know what etymology is? Do you know how like language evolves?
When you're talking to me, that means you must believe in the Christian God. Because surely you wouldn't want to contradict yourself and speak from the non-God world, right? You don't want to contradict yourself, do you?
Why does speaking mean?
I just explained it to you. I literally just mashed it into the potatoes and spoon fed it to you. I dumbed it down.
Well, no, you didn't. You said just because we
Now
categorize
you're
things.
lying. I kind of want to move on because I don't like it when people lie to me. I want to talk to rational people, not emotional people.
I'm not emotional at all.
You are emotional because I just presented a logical proof, and because you don't want to believe it, you're choosing not to believe it, and that's emotional.
I think that's a fallacy because beliefs are not chosen. Beliefs are things that you are compelled into based on your experiences. So it's not that
If beliefs aren't chosen, then you could. Why would you even debate? If beliefs aren't you're just a walking contradiction, dude. If beliefs aren't chosen, then you couldn't justify anything as true or false, because you wouldn't be able to choose between true and false.
No, see, true, but see, I believe something is true because I'm shown compelling evidence to say, okay, this is true. I have seen no.
Sir, you just said you can't
God.
choose. You can't choose your beliefs. That means you can't choose between the true and the false. So you're contradicting yourself.
Yeah, you don't choose. You know between true and false.
Thank you for coming. I wish you well. Oh my God. Where do they grow these people? Oh, welcome, guest.
What's up?
Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you.
So do you accept God as your creator?
No,
Why not?
because if the Bible is the way that I'm supposed to believe in God, the Bible is filled with stuff that makes God either not all powerful or not all good.
What are you talking about, dude?
Noah's Ark, for example. So there's no evidence for a global flood. There's evidence against a global flood.
Yeah, but how do you have evidence without God?
That's not a question. That is.
I don't believe. Look, my argument is that God's necessary for evidence.
God's necessary for evidence. God is necessary for evidence.
Yeah, so if you believe in evidence, you must believe in God, because I don't see how you could have evidence without God.
That is complete garbage.
Why is that garbage?
You can't back that up. You have nothing behind that except, oh, it's God. Oh, it's God. I can imagine something up right now and say, no, it's Batman. Batman created the world. Why? He's Batman. He's all powerful.
No,
How is he all powerful? He always been he was always all powerful. It's like, who created Batman? No, Batman's eternal.
I can take. No, you can't do that. That's nonsense. Because Batman.
Yeah, the Bible is nonsense. Go ahead.
The Batman doesn't have the necessary and sufficient conditions to make intelligible our experience. And God.
What? Okay.
God is necessary for evidence.
Defend God. Defend him. You're not defending him. You're just saying it is God. Defend it. Yeah. You have nothing to defend it.
It's easy to defend because I can take any fact.
Go ahead.
And show that God's necessary for that fact. So to boil noodles, there's going to have to be some sort of like uniformity of nature where that like
uniformity of nature. Boiling is the deforming of water. It is making it less uniform. I don't get it.
Stop. No. Boiling. The fact that every time we heat water to 100 degrees Celsius.
We can explain.
Stop. If you keep interrupting me, I'm just going to boot you because you're being.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Did you call me ma'am?
No, I said sir.
Okay. Thanks for coming. I wish you well.
Bag it.
Yeah, hopefully it's not too hot, down below. So maybe you should get some aloe vera for the afterlife.
What's up, Mars?
What's up, Lefty? Did you repent and become a Christian?
No, not yet.
Oh my God!
It
Why-
might happen soon now.
What?
It might happen soon, man.
Yeah. You're
What,
gonna,
by the way, what is an atheist? I don't know what I know an atheist, but I don't know an atheist. I think you misspelled atheist. God didn't give you that infallible spelling, I guess. Well, what am I supposed to be guessing?
What's up?
Why'd you get rid of the prompt?
Good call. Thanks, man. You're the first helpful guest I've had tonight.
No problem. You're fixing the spelling?
Yeah.
So God didn't give you that infallible spelling. Is that?
I never claimed that I'm infallible. What are you talking about?
Well, I mean, he's given you this. He's the source of your knowledge, right? Correct.
He's the foundation for knowledge. Yeah, he would be the source of knowledge, but that doesn't mean I'm infallible.
Well, how were you able to ascertain this knowledge of God?
He revealed it, right?
How do you reveal it?
Through creation, through the Bible, through the prophets, through Jesus, through the conceptual order, the causal order, the moral order.
Well, how are you able to perceive this nature, this creation?
What?
How were you able to perceive this creation? Like, you had to have gained the knowledge somehow. You weren't just born with it. Correct? Or were you born with it?
Well, we would be born with it because we're made in God's image, so that would be a type of revelation.
Well, but you don't know. Are you saying that babies are born knowing God exists?
Yeah.
That you're gonna have to back that one up, man.
The Bible says that.
So the Bible says it.
Yeah.
So how are they gonna know if the Bible if you don't have the Bible? How are you supposed to know that? You need the Bible. You need the Bible to tell you it, right?
Because even like the ability to think would be a revelation of God, since God designed your thinking. Or like when you look at the world, that'd be a revelation of God, because God designed like your senses, and God designed like the order that you perceive when you look at the world.
Where's the evidence of that? Well, I not even evidence. How do you justify that claim? You have to have the Bible to know these things, right? At least.
No,
You have to admit that.
you don't have to have the Bible. So the claims of the Bible have to be true to have knowledge. That's how that works.
The claims of the Bible have to be true to have knowledge.
Yeah.
So without the Bible, you wouldn't know these
have
things.
to have the Bible. Only the claims have to be true.
Well, but how are you supposed to know if you haven't read it or at least been told about it?
You don't have to know it. The claims just have to be true to have knowledge of anything.
But don't you have to gain knowledge to know God? Like if no one ever heard about the Bible or Christianity, are they going to know Jesus Christ?
No.
No. All right. So you need the Bible.
No, you don't need the Bible. Just the claims of the Bible have to be true.
Well, but you're saying that people are just born knowing God, and that would imply that they know Jesus Christ.
Yes, because everything in creation would reveal ultimate intention and ultimate design down to the our senses and our ability to reason.
Well, you just contradicted yourself.
No, I didn't.
You said they wouldn't know Jesus
What's
without
this
the Bible or Christianity, but then you said they would. They're born knowing.
What's the P and not P?
The P is they're. I mean, I haven't. Give me an example. I haven't done this much philosophy.
Bro, why do you do this?
Well, I mean, you have a contradiction there. I just don't know how to
There's
put
no
it in a syllogism
contradiction.
like that real quick.
There's no contradiction.
You just said that these babies are
Look.
born knowing God. They're born.
Yes, everyone knows God. It's obvious.
It
God
is not obvious.
Yes, it is.
It's only obvious to you. Well, not only to you, but it's
No,
obvious to you and not other
obvious.
people.
It's obvious.
Well, even if you want to
There's
say
no
that, even if I granted that, which I don't, it wouldn't be obvious that Christianity is true, which you claim is the only possible way to have knowledge. I don't grant that it's obvious, but even if I did,
It doesn't matter what you grant. I don't know,
well, I'm not saying it matters. I'm just saying, even if I did grant
Look,
it, you'd
it
still have a
doesn't
problem
matter
by
what
saying
you say.
Christianity.
It doesn't matter what you say, dude.
It kind of does.
No, it kind of is irrelevant.
Are we not having a discussion or
Not really.
kind of? Well, I mean, then you're not doing a very good job defending yourself here,
According to who?
according to me.
Yeah, but why would I care what you think?
Well, I mean, your lives are going to be a lot more successful if you're actually good at this.
Yeah, but good is what's objective standard?
Listen.
When you say good, what objective standard are you referring to?
It's not objective. Everyone's got a subjective idea of what's good.
So it doesn't matter then, right?
Well, I mean, humans, they do have similar nature. Can you please explain to me how you can say babies are born knowing God, but then you're saying if no one's ever heard of Christianity, they're not going to come to the conclusion of Christianity?
I already answered this question.
No, you didn't. You contradicted yourself.
Oh my god.
You literally didn't answer it.
Thanks for coming, man.
All right, you didn't answer it.
Okay, I wish you well. They love to gaslight. Oh man. Silly atheists. Man. I'm having trouble.
Hello,
Welcome.
how are you?
I'm doing well. Your mic's a little low.
Oh, sorry about that. Is this better?
Yeah.
All right, so I heard most of your argument, this transcendental argument, and what you're trying to say is that human consciousness and logical ability is impossible without the help of God, right?
I'm saying human reason and observation without the aid of God is not enough for knowledge.
Well, you see, that argument is a logical fallacy in and of itself because it's an appeal to ignorance. just because we don't fully understand the human brain doesn't mean that
It's
it's
not
too
an appeal. No,
No.
no, it's not an appeal to ignorance. I'm saying that it's saying like for us to have knowledge, this other fact has to be true. So we have knowledge, so this other fact's true, and I can show that like the other fact is necessary. It's like modus ponens.
All right, go ahead. Tell me how it's necessary.
Yeah, like to do science, there has to be regularity, uniformity of nature has to be true.
Okay,
Only
sure.
God, huh?
Okay, sure. Uniformity.
Yeah.
Means
So
science doesn't exist without uniformity. How does that return to
we live in a world where science is possible. So your worldview would have to explain how science is possible, and only the Christian worldview can explain how science is possible.
And how is that?
And how is that? Because only the Christian worldview has a single unifying principle, which is necessary. God fulfilled, the Christian God has the exclusive property set to fulfill like the necessary and sufficient conditions for intelligibility. That if you deny him, you're gonna have like this whack system that you're not gonna be able to make sense of the world because everything's gonna be like loose and disjointed. There'll be no connection.
Who says that it must be Christianity's God? You know, why can't I
Because
believe in a
only
higher power that holds all the same powers as God without all of the, Jesus lore? You know, there's just some higher power up there that doesn't really interact with human beings, but allows for the universe to work in the way it does.
because only the Christian, I just explained this to you, only the Christian worldview can explain what we are experiencing. None of the other worldviews can because you need a single unifying principle.
Well, I have my own worldview where my God, not the same God as Christianity, has the same powers as Christianity's God, and has made the world in a way that it works as it does.
Yeah, but you don't have revelation. You need revelation because you'd have no like justification for that position.
I don't have just he's my God and I believe in him.
Yeah, it
He has
doesn't
all the
matter
same
what you
powers.
believe in though. No one cares about that. You have to be able to prove something. So you need a justification, which means the revelation is going to be required. And yeah, there's no way out of it. So you have to either be like a radical skeptic or a Christian. That's your options.
Like I'm agnostic for real. I don't actually believe in this God. But what I'm saying here is that
You're
just
not.
because we can't just because we can't explain some things like how our brain works doesn't mean that there has to be some God who made it happen. And even if there was, who's to say it was Christianity's God?
It's not just about explaining some things. It's about what's necessary to explain anything at all.
So what's
You wouldn't be able to explain anything at all with God. It's not just about, oh, we just needed to explain this one thing.
Okay, but
No.
what's your
Explanations. What?
source on this? All you're saying is that no, God is necessary to
You,
explain, but you're not
there's
elaborating.
a book called The Objective Proof for Christianity that will extensively elaborate the argument, and it shows definitively that the Bible's true.
So you're not able to here on this live give me a reasonable explanation?
I just did.
Your explanation to me was I can't explain anything without God, but you didn't explain why.
Because to explain things, you need to a single unifying principle to connect the dots. Like
You need a foundation for truth, is what you're trying to say?
no, you need. So you have to believe in cause and effect. Cause and effect has to be true for us to like understand the world, because things would have to cause the effect of like our sense. Like for me to see something, something would have to cause the effect that my sight can like see the thing. That's a cause and effect relationship to even look at something, right?
Okay, yeah, you see something, the light reflects into your receptors.
Yeah,
So you see it, sure.
the light wave causes you to perceive that there's this object, right? So we can't explain cause and effect with observations because we never observe. We observe like one perception and you observe like another perception, like one event, a cause, another event, an effect, but you don't observe the force or principle that connects those events together. And that's necessary to explain anything in a foundational sense. And since the Christian God is that thing, that force or principle that connects the cause to the effect, and no other like worldview can explain that, then the Christian God's necessary for cause and effect, and cause and effect is necessary to understand the world. So then, to understand the world, it's necessary that the Christian God's true.
Well, like I don't know much about many other religions, but I'm sure that there are plenty out there who have a God who is equally as powerful. You know?
No, there's not. The attributes are exclusive and indispensable, meaning that no other God would have those attributes, and those attributes are necessary for intelligibility. So, you either have to be a Christian or a radical skeptic. Oh, he left. Welcome, Josh.
What's going on, man?
Just presenting rational arguments to people who believe things based on emotions.
Sure. I was listening there, right? So the problem with your argument is that I could just invoke that I am general and special revelation myself, right? And if you say that I would have to have a book, then the criteria for you would be, why does a book determine truth?
Because the book is like a verification principle, since it's the word of God. And
Yeah,
God,
but if I'm saying that I am the word of God, then why would I need a book for validation?
I mean, because like usually we want to have like good reasons to for what we believe, and if you go around telling people that like you are the word of God, everyone's gonna think you're like a crazy person, right? So we want to believe in something like tangible and real, not just like what crazy people say. And so we believe in the Bible, which comes from God.
And did you think that when Jesus was saying that he was God, that he was not seen as a crazy person at the start?
Sure he was, but he performed miracles, so we know that he's not a crazy person, and he resurrected.
Yes, sure. So then the burden of the kind of logic is that miracles, it's not about the actual book itself, it's about the performance of miracles. Is that the argument?
No, the argument is that
I,
science.
I mean the validation specifically. The argument of your validation. So you're saying that I don't, it needs to be a book, but it also needs to be a miracle inside the book, which validates the principle of being like godlike. Is that true?
No, you're presenting like we're talking about worldviews. We're talking about like what we actually believe, not just like what's
Sure.
possible, right? And so when you present like, obviously, I know you're just making this crap up and you don't believe it, right?
No, I don't know what that is supposed to mean. I'm giving you a critical analysis of the argument. So, for example,
Hold
in
on, stop. You're not understanding the argument to even critique it. So the argument, Van Til says we're not arguing about possibilities or hypotheticals or guesses, right? We're arguing about what we actually believe. So when you're talking about this hypothetical, like I'm the word of God, you don't actually believe that, right?
No, I'm just saying that is an example of the pitfall of the precept argument.
Are you even
So it's
listening to what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I understand your claim very
So
well,
your
right?
critique that you're presenting isn't valid because we're not arguing in a formal or abstract way. We're arguing concretely. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, and if you're arguing concretely,
Uh-huh.
and I wait one sec, and I use your logic in a comparison, and the logic fails, it means that your previous logic is
You're not
wrong.
arguing, Josh. When you're talking about a guess or a hypothetical, that's not arguing concretely. You're failing to understand the argument. Your critique
You're the
fails
one
to
with the
you're not
position.
understanding the argument.
But you're the one with the position, right? So if you're the person with the position,
Oh my
eh,
God. We both have a position. You have a worldview, right?
yeah, but you're positing the claim that God exists.
Yes. We're
Exactly.
comparing worldviews and seeing whose worldview can answer the transcendental challenge. My
Yeah,
worldview can answer the transcendental challenge. Your worldview cannot. Therefore, mine is a transcendental necessity.
yeah,
So
I
clearly
understand that.
true.
But the problem with what you just worded there, you said it's a comparison. So if it's a comparison, then why are we taking it from the Christian worldview instead of the atheistic worldview?
We're comparing the Christian worldview to whatever your worldview is. I'm
No,
assuming.
no, but why, just specifically, when you say it's a comparison between me and your view, right? And then you're invoking the Christian worldview, it seems like you're using one argument over the other. Why are you using one worldview over the other? For example, okay, cause and effect is circular reasoning.
Stop. I'll explain it.
Okay, go ahead.
When we're talking about paradigms or like a foundational starting point belief, there's no reality to compare it to. You can't do a correspondence theory of truth because we're talking about the beliefs that we use to evaluate and interpret reality foundationally. So we have to use a coherentist theory of truth. And that means to validate the argument, to show the soundness, we have to do a worldview comparison where I illustrate, look, my worldview, my position can make sense of our experience and yours cannot. And therefore, my worldview is true. That's the argument.
Yeah, but the argument is based upon your standards, right? So it's
No,
not
it's
based
not
upon.
based on my standards.
I can explain why, right? So when you say, for example, it's the classic precept argument. It's the argument of whoever speaks first wins. Okay, that's the kind of problem with this
I'm
argument.
about to kick you.
Um,
You're a complete moron.
okay, so
I won't stand for stupidity, sir.
you're saying, okay, so if I say my worldview is I'm agnostic, I don't know, okay, and then you say no, I do know. And your kind of burden of, or your proof is that you have general and special kind of awareness which comes from a book. Then where is the actual, when you say proof, what exactly do you mean? Do you mean philosophical kind of moral proof? What exactly do you mean by proof?
It would be a philosophical proof, a transcendental proof.
Okay, and if someone else claimed a different truth with the exact same criteria, would they both be true?
I don't know what you're saying. What do you mean a different
If
truth with the same criteria? Are you saying
yeah, sure. If someone had the same criteria, right, but they came to a different conclusion, would they both be true at the same time?
there's no other worldview that has the trend?
No, that's not the question.
What criteria are you talking about?
Yeah, I'm asking you. I'm positing critical analysis, right? I'm saying if two worldviews,
Stupid.
you can call it stupid if you want. That's
I
fine.
told you at the start, and you keep going like a dog to its vomit. You keep going back to this. I told you you don't understand the transcendental argument for God.
I do understand the argument, but what I'm saying
You
is,
don't though, because what your critique demonstrates you're ignorant. Because you're
Okay.
not arguing concretely. You're arguing in an abstract or formal way. I told you at the start, and like a dog to its vomit, you keep going back to this shit. I've already dealt with this critique. It's not a valid critique. Do you want to just keep going on and like refuse to listen to reason or what?
It seems like you're getting very emotional, right?
Yes, because I've already explained to you very thoroughly why this is not a valid critique, and you keep making the same critique.
Yeah, so if you're just like unable to look at reason, then it's just your problem, right?
Thank you for coming. I wish you well. Oh my God. So,
Okay, silence
You're,
through.
you're just being emotional.
You literally admitted to being emotional, buddy. I don't know what's. Are
sir,
you okay?
Sir, stop. I presented a logical argument. I refuted your critique, right?
You didn't say anything.
You're ignoring what I'm presenting to you because you want anything but God. So you are being emotional. You're not being rational, sir.
Okay, just really specifically, if someone comes to the same criteria and they have a different
Like
conclusion,
a dog to its vomit. I wish you well, sir. That's unfortunate. I don't know. God gave you reason, and I hope someday you choose to use it. So I don't know, but I can't force you to be a reasonable person. That's on you. I can't control you. Wow. But if I repeat my question again, what is wrong? Like, why do you think repeat? I literally ask a question, I answer it. Oh, what if I just ask it again? I keep answering this question. Oh, no, if I just keep asking my question, then somehow his answer won't matter. Like, dude, you're just ignoring. I'm just gonna sit here and ignore what people are saying. Like, what? Dude, I guess this is what atheism does to you. Oh my God, imagine being an atheist as an adult. How embarrassing. Oh, I can't believe it. I can't believe. I'm just like shocked. Like, I talk to these people all the time, and it's like always shocking. Like, how are these people real? Like, I understand like the movie Idiocracy, right? That's pretty much reality. But wow.
Hello? Please don't spam a chat.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was muted. Welcome. Are you there? I didn't realize I was muted initially.
Yes, sir.
What would you like to say?
Fake it, 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 fake it,
Yeah.
fake it, fake it,
Awesome.
fake it, fake it, fake it, fake it, fake it.
That's wrong. That's bigotry. We can't have that. That's wrong. Oh man.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, one sec. I looked at your bio. You said you're objectively proving Christianity.
Correct.
How exactly do you suppose you can objectively prove it if it's something that can't be objectively proven? It's a belief. That's what religion is. It's a belief.
Can be objectively. No, it's not just a belief. There's a lot of evidence, and there's. I think the best we can prove without a shadow of a doubt that the Bible is true, right?
Okay, and how exactly will you do that?
A transcendental argument for God.
The what?
Transcendental argument for God.
Okay, can you elaborate? I don't know what that is.
It's a bit different way of thinking. So, basically, we prove God as like necessary as a sort of like a basically we ask the question like, okay, we live in a world where science is possible, right? And then we ask the question like, what is necessarily true for science to be possible, right? And it's we say that the claims.
You
Yeah,
disappeared there for a second.
So we ask like, if science is possible, what would also have to be true for science to be possible? And we argue that the claims of the Bible are necessary for us to be in a world where we could do science in the first place. So to deny the Bible would be like to deny science is possible, which would be absurd.
Okay, but that's something completely different because you cannot just state that because the Bible says something, then science is based off the Bible. It could much rather be a coincidence. It's not like science was made from the Bibles precisely.
Well, it's an argument, okay? So if we lived in a world where everything was randomly changing all the time, like apples were turning into cars and TVs were turning into microwaves, or like just everything was random,
Yeah.
you couldn't do science in that world, right?
Yeah, but you can't just say because not everything is changing all the time, therefore the Bible is correct. As you said, it's an argument, but how does that argument objectively prove God if you just admitted that is only an argument?
Well, because we live in a world with order, right? So your worldview has to explain how could there be order in the world, right? And if there was no God, it wouldn't make sense. We wouldn't have no explanation for this order that we all experience and is necessary to make science possible.
Okay, so your whole objective proof is a God of the gaps argument.
It's not a God of the gaps argument. God of the gaps.
How is that not?
God of the gaps is to say, like, we observe this phenomena. There's no explanation, therefore God did it. Right? We're saying that what is necessary for explanations at all, and that God would be necessary to explain anything. So all explanations are evidence of God, because if you deny God, you would live in a world where explanations were impossible. So God's necessary for explanations, not that God is an explanation for a phenomena. So it's different.
Yeah, I don't really get how is God necessary for explanations. Please explain that.
So cause and effect has to be true for explanations to be possible. Would you agree?
Sure. Yeah, sure.
If all we have is our like human reason and what we observe, that doesn't give us any knowledge of like if cause and effect is true, because we will observe like one event, we observe a cause, and we observe another event and effect, but we don't observe the force or the principle that connects the events together. And without a connection between the events, then there would be no cause and effect. And God is the thing that connects those things. So God's necessary.
Yeah, I still do not get how that would not be God of the gaps arguments. You can't just say that it's God that did it. I can agree with you on the first part. However, you can't say that God is automatically making those connections. We don't know what will be making those connections, and you can't just put a God in that picture then and say, "Oh, God did this."
I'm not just putting a God in that picture. I'm making an argument, right? I'm saying that we live in a world where we have order. What would explain the order? Only the Fine. You don't talk about the world like it's a random accident.
Why is it not a random accident? We don't know.
Because if it's a random accident, then you wouldn't be able to make sense of the words. There'd be no meaning behind the words. So that would be a contradiction. Because you're not living your life like the world is an accident. You speak about the world like there's order in the world.
Exactly. Where is the order in the world? There is some
words
order,
you use.
yet again, but there is some chaos as well.
Sure, but there's
nothing on Earth
regularity
is
along
perfectly
with
optimized.
There's regularity along with irregularity, and when you speak, you reveal that because you talk about the world as if there's order.
Yeah,
And
but
so
that can also be processed through evolution. That doesn't necessarily prove
no,
God.
it cannot, sir. No, only
How does it not get proven through evolution?
Evolution doesn't explain the inherent connections between particulars.
What do you mean?
Evolution doesn't explain the unity. When you speak, you describe unity in the world. Evolution doesn't explain unity. There's nothing in the theory of evolution that would explain that.
It doesn't explain unity.
Put down the bong, bro.
Bro, what do you mean?
Whatever. Yeah, evolution doesn't explain that.
Jesus, okay. You're saying everything in the universe is united.
Yes, when you talk, you speak of unity. If there's no God, there's no unity. So that would make all your sentences no meaning.
Okay, you cut out. Can you repeat that?
You speak about the world. You speak of it in terms of there's like order in the world. If there's no God, there's no order inherently in the world. But you talk like there is. So if you deny God, you're just contradicting yourself. You're not living like that.
Okay, so your objective argument is the fact that human beings talk in a certain way and therefore God has to exist.
Yeah, for your words to be true or meaningful, God has to exist. If you deny God, your words aren't meaningful. If your words aren't meaningful, you can't argue. If you can't argue, you can't deny God.
I've never heard that argument before. It is so dumb.
Yeah, I know. Now you don't know how to respond to it, do you? Oh my gosh.
No, I've never heard that one. Okay, if you want to take my argument, then for example, right? I have my argument. Does your God claim to be all powerful, all knowledgeable, all of that, omnipotent and omniscient? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. I assume you've heard this before.
Yeah, it's not going to do anything.
Yeah, but you know where this is going, right? To the infinite paradoxes that come with a God.
There's no paradoxes, dude.
How is that not a paradox?
Well, first of all, why would it even matter to contradict? Because you live in the nonsense world. You live in the fantasy world of atheism. Why would it be wrong to contradict yourself if you're an atheist?
That does not answer my argument in any way, shape, or form.
You're an atheist, and you're telling me, look, I'm contradicting myself, right? My God is a contradiction, right? As an atheist, you're telling me my God's a contradiction, right?
Your argument against my argument is... Where did he go?
I just accidentally exited out.
Okay. Look here. I put forward an argument, and now your argument against my argument is the argument you presented earlier that still has not been objectively proven.
I just objectively I did prove it. What are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. You can't use a non-proven argument against my argument.
I just proved Christianity to you, and you ignored it because you're emotional and you're not a rational person. You don't care about proof. You don't care about evidence. You just believe what you want to be true. Yeah, what's the proof atheism is true? There's no proof for that.
Atheism isn't a religion. Atheism isn't something you prove. Atheism
it's a cult. You're right. It's a cult. And
no,
they're being
atheism
taken
is the
advantage
standard.
of by a bunch of atheists. There's a bunch of like atheist Joel Osteen types that are just milking those gullible atheists for all their money and lying to them. And look, they're putting you on this panel, and you can't even defend your nonsense cult. Isn't that embarrassing?
First of all, atheism is not a cult. Atheism is the lack of belief by definition.
There's no evidence for it.
When
there's no rationale for it.
You do not have a conscience. You do not have a proper conscience. It's called atheism, the lack of theism.
What's your
And
rationale
theism
for
is
your
faith.
position? What's your rationale for your position?
What do you mean? What is the rationale for my position? I do not believe
I
in a
mean,
God.
if it
That's the
sounds like a
rationale.
cult, it sounds like you're believing in something on blind faith, and you're in a cult. If you don't have a rationale for your position,
Okay, please explain to me, what do atheists believe in? If you think atheism
I
is
don't
a thing,
know.
what do atheists
Like,
believe in?
they reject the creator-creature distinction.
That's not belief.
Do you accept the creator-creature distinction?
No.
Do you have evidence to not accept the creator-creature distinction?
Do you have evidence to support it?
Of course, I presented to that already.
Okay, I have evidence against it.
Okay, well, what is that?
Because as soon as you give a being, or anything for that sake, because I know you're going to say God is not a being, but whatever it is, as soon as you give that God the powers that the Bible does present, that is impossible. I know you're going to say, oh,
What
we
would-
don't understand it, maybe.
How can you say something's impossible? What would dictate possibilities if atheism is true? Because
Okay,
I say
let's say
God
he's all-powerful.
determines what's possible and impossible in my system. What determines possibilities in your system?
If it's logically impossible, it's impossible. Very simple.
Yeah, but what would make it impossible in the actual world? Logic is just conceptual. It doesn't make something impossible. What makes something impossible?
Logic can fully make something impossible. It doesn't need to be
No,
a
it
physical
can't. Logic
object
is
for it to be
concept.
impossible.
Logic is a concept. It doesn't make reality any way. What would make reality? What would make something impossible in reality?
Logic is based off the laws of the universe. You can't have something be illogical and then also happen. If something is illogical, it's impossible for it to happen.
Dude, in atheism, what does logic even refer to? Like, how do you even use?
Depend on if you're religion or not. Logic
How do
is the
you
same
even? Is
as
logic
atheist,
just something that
Christian,
humans
Muslim.
invented? Is logic just something that humans made up?
If logic is something humans made up,
Yeah. In atheism, isn't logic just something you make up as a human because there's no God? I say logic comes from God, but you don't say that, right? So where does it come from? Humans? You just make it up? How's that?
it's the same way as, for example, we found gravity. We didn't make gravity. We found gravity.
You say we found where? You think we find
we
logic?
discovered gravity.
We
You
discover
think
logic.
Isaac Newton went into his
Sounds like you're a
laboratory and
Christian.
dropped an apple on his head on purpose?
You're sounding very Christian all the more I talk to you.
Please explain how I'm sounding Christian.
Well, for one, you're speaking and you're acting like your
Jesus
words
Christ.
are true and meaningful. So you must be Christian because that would only make sense if Christianity was true.
You're going
And
back to the central
think-
argument that you have not proven.
You think logic is something we discover, which means you're not like a materialist, you're not a naturalist, so you're sounding more Christian.
Please explain to me how logic is not discovered.
Well, I think it is discovered because I think logic is a conceptual existence in the mind of God. But like, I was just curious as to like you deny that. So then, when you talk about logic, what would you be referring to?
You're using your point of view as an argument against mine. You can't say that because, in your opinion, I don't believe in God, therefore my argument is invalid with the logic.
I
That's not how it
don't,
works.
because I'm saying that you can't make an argument in the non-God. Atheists can't make arguments because you don't have the necessary and sufficient conditions to even make an argument, like logic. I have logic because I believe in God, so I can argue.
You
I'm
cannot
Christian.
say only people who believe in God can be logical.
Well, then explain to me how you can have logic if there's no God. Where is it? What does it refer to?
Okay, you're the one making the statement there, so explain to me how a human
You're
being
using
does not have
logic.
logic.
Are you using logic?
Yeah.
Explain to me how you can use logic. I'm explaining to you I can use logic because I think analogically like God thinks, and God is the source of logic. So that's my explanation for logic. What's your explanation for logic?
Okay, let me put it like this. Let's say it like this. If something can be illogical, then something can also be logical. Yes or no?
What's your explanation for logic, dude?
I'm getting to it.
Ground logic. You're not doing that. Ground logic.
What do you mean I'm not? Yes, I am. I'm getting to it.
No, you're not.
Do you agree or not to this
You have
statement?
no idea how to answer the question, dude. You're a deer in headlights.
I'm legit fucking answering the question, and you're just saying
You are
no,
not
no, no,
legit.
no, no.
You're responding. You're not answering.
You're asking me a question, and then I'm legit in the middle of answering it. But then you say you want to cut down my answer.
Not a koala.
What? So, are you in a tornado or something?
Oh shoot! Sorry, Doreen. Whoops.
What is happening?
Oh, I just had to go get my cat. He's being nice. Sorry, buddy.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, you wouldn't have logic without God. It wouldn't refer to anything.
All your arguments go back to the same central argument that you still have not proven. It's impossible to prove it because it's God of the
I
gaps.
did prove it. It's not God of the gaps. I
God of the
explained to you
gaps
what
is
God of the
illogical.
gaps is. There's an observation. We can't explain it. Therefore, God did it.
Not
I'm
necessarily
saying,
observation. Anything that humanity doesn't know, and you put a God there, that's God of the gaps.
yeah, we can't explain the observation. Therefore, God explains it. Right? That's God of the gaps. Am I saying that?
Not necessarily only observation. Everything.
What?
Anything that humans do not understand.
God of the gaps is like, look, there's lightning. I don't know. Why does lightning happen? Oh, Zeus did it. That's God of the gaps.
God of the gaps is anything where you put a God into a place where humans.
You don't even know it, dude. You are so low information. Like, it's hard to have a conversation with you.
You think God of the
You don't know
gaps
what
is
you're talking
limited
about.
to observations?
Yes, God of the gaps is we have an observation. We can't explain observation. Therefore, God explain observation. That's God of the gaps. I'm saying God is a necessary foundation for explanations. That any explanation would be indirect evidence of God because there's a necessary relationship between explanations and God. That is not God of the gaps. It's literally the opposite of God of the gaps.
Repeat that thing.
You're just you're clueless.
Repeat that. Repeat that last part. Repeat what? Repeat
God
what you
is necessary as a foundation to explain things.
Okay,
Without
why is it
God, we
necessary as a
couldn't
foundation?
explain anything. So if explanations, then God, we can explain things. Therefore, God. It's modus ponens. If P, then Q. P, therefore Q. It's not that complicated, man.
That's legit God of the gaps. Just read the fucking.
That's not God. Okay. Thanks for coming, man. I wish you well.
Okay.
You're gonna need some aloe vera though, so remember to buy lots of aloe vera before you unalive. Because there's some special lakeside property for you. Welcome.
Yo, listen, man. I just stumbled upon this live. I'm not like an atheist or anything. I just wanted to say that
Right.
God exists and, Jesus saves all. And, the only way to eternal salvation is through Christ. That's about it. I only came on the live because I just saw you were doing like this argument. For one, I see a lot of atheists on TikTok trying to argue these weird points. Everything is written in the Bible. You know what I mean? Everything is written in the Bible. The Bible's been around for however long it's been around. And we don't need all this science and Big Bang Theory and all this stuff that they're trying to feed it. Because guess what? You know who's the biggest deceiver?
The devil?
Yeah, right? So if the devil is the biggest deceiver, and past Christ, whatever time comes after God gave Christ the Holy Spirit and gave him the power to kind of influence us and influence the world, what do you think is going to happen? Right? The devil is going to try to like deceive the people, and this is the biggest time, like right now, with the most deceptions possible on our phones and in our schools.
Because of science and technology, that the people in power have the ability to deceive us.
And look, there's people in the comments saying that God is the biggest deceiver. Like, how can you even say that?
If you're an if you're a Muslim, you could say that. but
Yeah, really?
not a Christian.
Yeah. See, this is the thing. I feel like my opinion on that thing, like, I don't want to speak on other religions and stuff because, like, they don't really have control over whether or not they were born. But I will say this is that when you go through your adult life, you have the choice. But when you're a child, you kind of don't have that choice, like when you're born into that thing. But when you become an adult, you have the choice to find salvation through Christ. You have the choice to pick Christ, you know? And you know what's crazy about it too is that look, we're like people. For example, like your channel is doing a service to the people, right? Yet somehow there's a bunch of like by spreading the word of God, you're doing a service to the people. But somehow there are people in this comments right now that I'm reading.
Well, I'm
They're
not
like,
so much really trying to spread the word of God. Mainly, like I'm kind of doing like comedy. I'm making fun of atheists and like mock. You know how like there's all these streams where they go, "Oh, Christians believe in Sky Daddy and fairy tales and Harry
oh
Potter."
yeah, 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 the
I'm
Sky
kind of just
Daddy joke.
I'm just kind of like mocking atheism, and I'm saying, look, there's a rational defense for Christianity. I'm not here to really like, because most of these people are like God haters that they're debating.
Hmm.
It's not like they're these
Yeah.
open-minded people looking, can I hear the message of the gospel? They've already heard the gospel. Most of them know the Bible better than me. So, like,
Yo, that's so sad that like, cause like I didn't recent. It wasn't until recently that I started really getting into learning about Christ. But it was because of my college roommate that was teaching me about it. But honestly, before that, I wasn't really into that kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like it took me to find it myself later in life because
me too.
there is no point that's too late to find Christ. You know what I mean?
Me too. I didn't become a Christian until I was 37, so I can understand where they're coming
Yeah.
from. But I'm still going to make fun of them in a loving way, of course.
Yeah, I think you should. I honestly think it is good that you make fun of them because, like, I personally do too. But when I first stumbled, like I said, I just stumbled upon this, so I thought you were like seriously arguing points
Oh
against
no, I
them.
am. No, my argument is actually legit. Like, there's substance to what I'm saying. It's called
Yeah,
a transcendental argument for God. I've been doing research into it, so I do think it's objectively provable. I'm not just joking about
yeah,
that.
yo. But my thing is, why do atheists, right? If they don't believe in God, right? Why do they get so mad at believers? Like, what is it that
I
fuels
think
their anger?
it's a church hurt, religious trauma. I think a lot of
Oh, religious trauma and shit.
yeah. I mean, let's be honest. There's a lot of valid religious trauma. Like the Catholic Church was famous for some of it. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, Catholic
no hate,
Church.
no hate or anything, but it's just the reality. Um,
No, yeah. And
so
I know there's probably people out there that got like assaulted by like clergymen or whatever, because I hear a lot of weird stuff going on in the Catholic Church. And I think the Catholic Church, the Catholic religion, actually sect, is probably like a really beautiful section of Christianity if it wasn't for the simple fact that they have all this weird stuff going on, and then you're having the Pope like endorsing stuff that is not in the Bible. The Pope
yeah.
endorses things that are clearly not in the Bible, and then he also says atheists can go to heaven.
Well, I think the problem mainly is like the top or the people in power. So I don't really like. I think there's probably good Christian Catholics, but they're just like they're led by the Vatican is what I have an issue with, not like the people of the church. But anyway,
Yeah, I don't really have an issue with Catholicism, but yeah, I definitely do have issues with the Vatican. And if they are doing those evil things, I would assume that guys like the Pope would be questioned by God on Judgment Day about like what he says, because like preaching to the
hopefully,
world things that aren't like, we don't believe in this, man. But yeah, that's all. I mean, that's all I wanted to say. I don't want to take too much time out of you
okay.
trolling these atheists. You keep trolling them, man, and
All
keep
right.
making them mad, bro. Because hopefully one day they can take that anger and transmute it into some positive, holy energy. And don't. My message to the atheists is don't let your trauma from human beings in the past stray you away from the church. Don't let what a human did to you make you start hating God, because what that human did, they would have to answer to God about it anyways. God always loves you. God never hurt you. It was a dude. It wasn't God.
Pretty much. Thanks for joining, man.
All right. Thank you. Peace out.
Yeah, peace. I think yeah, I think the power of forgiveness, like you mentioned at the end there, like having anger. I think anger can be like real destructive, and I know that from personal experience. I used to hold grudges and be angry, and when I became a Christian, I started forgiving, taking responsibility for my situation, not blaming other people. And when you're angry, you blame others, and when you take responsibility, and you start to heal, and it's a good thing. So Christianity is awesome. And I honestly just want the best for people. So there's a lot of people requesting. Let's see. Welcome, Jack.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, thanks. I'm curious. I'm not really a believer, but I kind of, I don't understand why. It seems like Christians in particular, I have Christians friends. We've known each other forever, and they don't seem to be upset with me not believing. But it seems like a lot of especially on TikTok, Christians get really upset about agnostic or atheists or people that don't believe. Or it's almost like it's more offensive if they don't believe in God than even if they believe in a different God. They find being an atheist more insulting or something. Is that
like,
true? Is that what it's about? I mean,
it seems like, yeah, they want to identify as an atheist, but then when you actually question them, they will try to defend agnosticism as opposed to atheism.
well, I think a lot of people are, agnostic that are probably really atheists. But why is it that, like, I'm not offended by Christians, but but then a lot of people seem like on TikTok they're really upset about people that are atheists or agnostic or whatever. That's like, it really triggers them, and I don't really understand that, because I mean, not all Christians, but there's some Christians.
Who's upset that people are atheists?
Who's upset?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it seems like, I don't know if you are particularly, but like even your cartoon drawing, it's like, I've caught you. You're an atheist. You're not really agnostic. So atheism and agnostic does not bother you, I guess, then?
No. Well, the meme is to show that if we do a conceptual analysis on agnosticism, the claim that an agnostic is actually an atheist.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think that I'm probably an atheist, but people sometimes they correct me. Like, my brother's a very devout Christian, and he said, "Well, you're more of an agnostic because if you're an atheist, you are convinced that there's no God, or you don't have proof that there's no God, but you believe that there's no God." I mean, they're all semantics, but
Well, what we're dealing here this is kind of supposed to be like a debate stream.
Okay.
Usually in the background, I have like a debate. This is a debate. In terms of like debate, theism is going to be a proposition. A proposition is a sentence that has a truth. So theism is going to be like, there is a God or gods.
Right.
Atheism is going to be like the same thing, the opposite of that. And since theism is a proposition, atheism would be a proposition that there is no God or gods.
Okay.
And then an atheist is someone that believes the proposition.
Okay. And just like you believe in a deity, you believe in Christ, and other people believe in other deities, and so in a way, you don't believe in those other religions, so you're an atheist about those other gods.
No, I'm not an atheist. That's not a correct way to say
Okay.
that. An atheist is someone who believes there is no God, right?
Right.
I believe in Jesus as God, so I don't believe there is no God because I believe in a God. So I mean, I understand what you mean when you say I'm atheist about Islam or something, but I don't think that's like a correct use.
Right. But why is it that it seems like Christians get more upset about atheists than just about anything? I just find it like I think my feeling is that it's sort of like insulting them. Is that kind of what it is in a way to some degree? It's
Oh
like,
yeah, I like to insult atheists because I think it's like
no. I'm not saying you're well. I mean, do you feel like when somebody says they're an atheist, they're kind of insulting you in a way?
I feel like they're insulting their own intelligence by saying something so ridiculous.
Okay, so but you're not. It doesn't. It's just like, but you're trying to convince them that they're stupid because they're doing something that's wrong. That upsets you because you think it's wrong and they're stupid, right?
Well, yeah, I kind of think it's like a cult. Like, I think it's irrational, and they're just believing in something on blind faith, and they don't have like reasons for their position. That we should be rational. We should have reasons for our positions. We should be Christians. We shouldn't.
Well, I think that reason. I mean, I don't hold reason to be a religion, but I say that I think that there are people that believe that religions are cults. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't believe that. I don't believe that Christianity is a cult.
Okay.
But there are people that believe that believing in God is kind of like a cult thing. You know what I'm saying?
Sure, but have you ever heard of the French Revolution?
Yes.
So in the French Revolution, like before the French Revolution, the state and religion, state and like I think the Catholic Church, right? There's like the state religion. There's a state religion.
Sure.
But the French Revolution, they were a bunch of crazed atheists, and they overthrew the government, and they hated religion. They were persecuting religious people.
Sure.
And they made the cult of reason the state religion, and they were like, it's called like the Night of Terror because for a year they were aggressively like unaliving their political enemies.
Sure. But I think that there's examples of Christians doing terrible things too. You can look at the Crusades. But I mean, I don't judge Christianity on the Crusades.
Right,
I think it's involved. From
it's
that.
kind of a political thing, right? Obviously, there's corrupt Christians, and Christians do wrong things.
Sure. But I mean,
at least
there are good atheists and there are bad atheists. There's good Christians and there's bad Christians.
Yeah, but at least with Christians, we can point to the Bible and say, look, you're not following what Jesus tells you to do. With an atheist, when they do whatever they do, there's no Bible or anything we can point to say, hey, atheists, stop doing that. They can just do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah, but they don't do that. I mean,
Yes, they do.
Well, I mean, what I'm saying, I'm an atheist. I don't kill people or do.
Yeah, I know, but you have to say unalive. But like, if we look historically, societies that make man the measure of all things are the most like oppressive and horrific.
Yeah, I mean, I think personally, as a professing Christianity and of the workings of Jesus, and I think that's a good thing. I think that's a good way to promote what you believe. But I feel like sometimes it almost seems like I feel like it's odd when people are threatened by other beliefs. You know what I mean? Like it's like they're not really affecting or offending you particularly or your religion. They just don't believe the same thing. You know what I'm saying?
There's tons of streams of atheists that are making fun of Christians and mocking.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure there are. Yeah.
I'm just doing a stream where I do the same. I just make fun of atheists with love, of course. And then,
okay. So, yeah. Okay. So yeah, there are a lot of atheists that can be very insulting and mean. I agree with you. Not all of them are. I mean, I don't.
That's fine. I don't mind. They can mock me and insult me. That's fine.
Sure.
You're welcome to do that. But I'm just doing the same thing in the reverse. Because honestly, I think they say that I believe in a fantasy. Well, I think if you believe in atheism, then the physical world is a fantasy.
Yeah. I think that I can see your I can understand how that would
They
bother.
can't prove the external world is real. They can't prove their senses are reliable or their reasoning is accurate. It's just complete nonsense position.
Well, it's basically saying they don't believe something. That's all, really. I mean,
Right, and when they say they don't believe that something, the entailment of that statement is that now you can't prove the external world is real, which is absurd. You can't trust your thinking, your senses. Why is cause and effect real?
Well,
Who knows?
I
It's
mean,
Looney Tunes.
they believe. I believe in other things. I mean, I believe what.
It doesn't matter what you believe. What can you prove, right? If you can't prove the external world is real, like a Christian can,
Oh,
it's
okay.
kind of absurd.
Okay. So a Christian can prove the external world is real?
Correct, because God made it and revealed it to us.
Okay, but that is your belief.
No,
And
that's the proof.
there are hundreds of millions, billions of people that believe in a different deity.
It's objectively proven. It doesn't matter what there's a
Well,
bunch
what
of
I'm saying is they believe as passionately as you do in
But they're
Christ.
wrong because they can't objectively prove their position.
I know, but like what I'm saying is, if you are a different religion, and they will say the same thing, but they'll say, "But you've got the wrong
I'm
God."
not saying the same thing. No one can make my argument. Only I can make this argument.
So okay, you feel like you have a different argument than other religions as far as your belief in your God, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, but you can see, like, everybody has an argument, everybody has a point of view, and it's just a matter of where you're coming from that point of view. I mean, the chances are you were born in this country and you became a Christian because of where you were, what happened. If you were born in Israel or China or something, you have a different religion. You know what I'm saying? Like, those are the things that are more likely than anything, right?
That is irrelevant because there's people born like.
Well, what I'm saying is your beliefs come from a lot of times just where you happen to be born.
No, they don't, because there's people. Then how do you explain, like, you're born in a Christian country? Were you raised Christian?
Yes, I was.
Okay, so then why aren't you a Christian?
Because
you just debunked yourself.
Excuse me?
You just debunked yourself. Don't you get it?
No, well,
if your beliefs come from where you're born, then you would be a Christian.
No,
you're not a Christian, so your beliefs don't come from where you're born, do they?
I said chances are. I said it's just like the chances
So it doesn't
are.
matter. That's irrelevant. What matters is what we can prove, and Christianity is objectively proven.
You sound like you're really threatened by my argument. I'm really not. I'm not trying to insult you. I'm just trying to be.
Gosh.
I mean, it sounds like you're really threatened by it. I'm
just like frustrated because, like, I want proof. I want evidence.
Because you want people to
giving me like emotions.
Because you want people to believe in your particular God.
Because it's a debate, dude. It's a debate live. Here, let me change the background, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a debate. The point of the live is to debate.
Okay.
See, I say God exists. You say God doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So I make arguments for my position. You make arguments for your position. It's a debate.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so there's really not any. We're not really trying to talk. We're just trying to argue, then, basically.
Yeah, debate.
Okay.
I think it's objective. I can objectively prove Christianity without a shadow of a doubt. There's no way out of an argument.
Without a doubt, then why haven't you proved it?
I have. I think God is necessary.
How have you proved it?
I'm saying God's necessary for proof, and I can illustrate why that's the case. And
why do you think that God is necessary for existence?
Because I can take any fact, literally any fact, and show how God's necessary for that fact. Like, for example, the fact to boil noodles, you need certain things to be true that only God can explain. Like,
I see. So because you don't understand chemistry, you don't understand how noodles get boiled?
No. So to boil noodles, there has to be order in the world, that when we heat water to 100 degrees Celsius, it boils, right?
That's correct, right. These are all chemical reactions to things. This is chemistry, this is science.
Right, so then you have to justify the uniformity.
We have to justify science. That's what science does all the time. They continually justify themselves.
Science assumes that there's uniformity in nature. It has no proof.
Science is not committed to one thing. It changes constantly because it evolves as it finds things out. If science discovered there was God, it would say it was God.
To do a scientific experiment, you need to get repeatable results, right?
Exactly right.
But
And if
that's
they don't repeat,
uniformity.
then you do something else. That's not scientifically proven.
For there to be repeatable results, there needs to be uniformity in nature.
You don't have any evidence that there is a God, or your particular.
I'm trying to explain it to you. Why are you being so?
You haven't explained anything.
I'm trying to, but you're being resistant. You're not cooperative.
Okay, I'm just listening to your facts, and I haven't heard anything.
You're being uncooperative. So, for the repeatable experiment to get the same results, to do science, there has to be the uniformity of nature, and science can't prove the uniformity of nature.
No, science doesn't prove everything. Science hasn't proven a lot of things.
That's what proves the uniformity of nature.
And neither does just saying, well, we can't prove anything, so we're just going to say there's a God behind it. And particularly my God, not your God, is behind it all.
Guess what proves the uniformity of nature? It's God's revelation.
Your particular God, not other people's gods, because you've gotten the inside scoop on God.
Because the attributes of the Christian God are exclusive. No other God has those attributes, and they're indispensable. They're necessary to explain things like the uniformity of nature, causality,
You haven't proven anything.
morality.
You haven't proven a thing. All you're saying is, I don't see any evidence about how science proves things.
Just proved it to you. I just proved it to you, and you're just refusing to accept.
What did you prove? You didn't prove.
I proved Christianity was true, and then you're being emotional because you're refusing to accept the proof.
I see. So because I disagree with you, you feel like I'm not accepting the truth?
If someone presents a logical argument,
you haven't given me one fact. You're responding as I don't have any proof of anything, so I'm going to believe in a book.
So if someone presents a logical argument and you don't present a defeater or undercutter to that logical argument, you're just reacting in an emotional way because you can't handle the logic that I'm presenting to you.
I think that you're actually the one that's the most emotional here because you seem so offended by somebody saying to you, "You haven't shown us anything. You haven't proven your point."
Okay, well, I wish you well. Thanks for coming.
Okay, thank you. Good luck.
Oh, now you guys got bad cop.
Oh, another TTAB, huh?
What do you think of my assessment there? That if you present a logical argument, they don't offer an undercutter or defeater, they're responding in an emotional
way.
No,
he wasn't actually responding to what you said at the end. He was just being a naysayer.
Exactly.
Invoking "you haven't proven anything" is not a rebuttal. The non-acceptance of a rationale is not a rebuttal.
Exactly.
Something is not. You see, their attitude is this. This is what their attitude is, and it's grotesquely immature. Your proof for God and the God of the Bible will be proof if and only if they accept it. That's irrational.
Yep. But they don't, of course, we know it's about what they want to believe, emotions, not about what is logical or evidence.
Well, this is why evidentialism and classical apologetics fails. Because it fails to expose the person's inner hostility and non-neutrality.
Right, we just got to make these people aware that they hate God, they're not neutral, and then we've done our job. Because they're not going to accept anything we say.
How many times when they'll say, "Oh, I'm an agnostic," and I'll respond by saying, "Will you acknowledge, accept, and affirm right now the necessity of God?" They will say no. And then I respond by saying, "So you're affirming the non-necessity of God." Right? So they're not neutral. This is a little game that they want to play. They want to flip back and forth between denying God, I'm unconvinced. Denying God, I'm unconvinced.
Oh, you really failed me, but I misspelled atheist on the meme I sent you, and you didn't tell me, so I made a fool of myself, and I had to correct it.
Well, I looked at it, but I guess I looked at it too quickly, so.
Yeah.
Look, typos are no big thing. Everybody.
Yeah, whatever. It's funny. Yeah, I can make fun of myself.
There's nothing to be embarrassed about.
Yeah, no, it's funny though.
Like, no human being has never made a typo, right?
Well, do you know they did that on the Atheist Experience? They had T-shirts that spelled atheist wrong, just like what I did. So
it's easy to do, you know. Welcome, Slick A. Do you accept God as your creator?
Hi. No, I just heard your past conversation.
I didn't hear your answer.
Oh, I said no.
Okay. Do you have a justification for that?
Do I have a justification?
Yeah. Is your God denialism rational?
So I believe you've spoken to Joshua Bowen. I take the same stance.
Why are
he
you
does.
why are you ignoring what I just said to you?
Because you asked him the same question and you.
Okay, sir, you're about to be kicked off of here because you're being rude. I asked you a question. I said, do you have a justification for your God denialism?
Do
you want me to treat you in the manner that you're treating me right now, that when you ask me a question or you put a point to me and I simply ignore what you're saying to me and then I just blather on? You want me to do that to you?
No, but I want you to listen to my answers the same way I listen to.
Then why are you doing that to me?
Wait, I said I want you to listen to my answers the same way I listen to your answers.
You're again. You're on the.
You asked me a question. I'm
Okay,
answering.
goodbye, little boy.
What's up, baby?
Yeah, you gotta mod me again. Oh no, I'm modded. Okay, goodbye. Yeah. Do you see do you see the common character trait in the overwhelming majority of these people? They're immature and they're evasive and they're deceptive. You see the common trait?
Yeah.
You're gonna when I'm long dead and you're still around, you're gonna see this trait up until the time you die. This is their shtick.
I should warn people, I guess, that so it's gone now from the pre-sub Mars show to the Darth Talking show. So it's gonna be a little bit different because I'm
if you want me to drop down, I'm fine with that.
I don't care. You're welcome to stay.
No, it's up to you. I don't want if you want me to step down, I'm fine with that. Okay.
I just wanted to warn people because if they've been listening to me that like the rules are kind of changing now. So Darth, if you're gonna request up, expect to be interrogated. Okay. So I put up with a lot of crap. I'm very patient. I'm trying to be educational. Darth doesn't have the same approach as me. No. So Darth is looking to interrogate you. So just expect to be interrogated because like I'm tired of these people complaining about Darth's behavior. So I'm just putting it out there. If you come up, you will be interrogated by Darth. Okay, that's the rule. So don't get upset.
Or just remember, I don't want to rain on your parade. If you would prefer me to step down, I'll be glad to. Okay.
Okay, sounds good.
It's just entirely up to you.
I just wanted to warn people. Fair warning. So join at your free will. If you don't want to be interrogated, don't join. There you go.
Hello.
Hello. Do you accept God as your creator?
No.
And do you have a justification for your God denialism?
Prove it and I'll believe. But I just think there's too much evil and hate and awfulness and nastiness in the world.
Are you claiming you're neutral about the existence of God?
I do believe there's something, but I want proof.
Yeah. Is English your first language?
Yes, is yours?
Yes, it is. Are you claiming to be neutral? That's the second time I've asked the question.
And I answered it.
No, you didn't. You gave me an answer that was not specific to my question.
What do you mean
Are you claiming to be neutral about the existence of God?
Neutral? No, I don't believe. No.
Okay, so what is the justification that there is no creator?
Well, it's just my belief. I don't believe there is.
I already know that. I'm asking you why you hold to that universal declaration that there is no God.
I just think there's so much hurt and nastiness and evil in this world, and apparently this amazing creator who is supposed to love us all, why would he allow that to happen?
Because he has a plan of creation and redemptive history.
So when we've got people being unalived and children,
did you hear what I just said? I said he is allowing these unpleasantries as a part. Okay, I'm answering your question. Do you want an answer to the question? Okay, listen. Do you want an answer to the question?
I didn't ask you a question.
Just want? Okay, I'm answering you. Okay, goodbye. Goodbye. Okay. Obviously, they don't teach you manners in the UK. Okay. You see the same teenagers trapped in adult bodies, the same grotesque immaturity.
Okay,
and people say I'm not patient.
If you're requesting to come up, expect to be interrogated. You have to answer Darth's questions.
Yeah, I don't have to agree with your answer that comes out of your mouth, but if it's not an answer that is specific to the question I'm asking you, then you're being deceptive. Welcome, Matt. Do you accept God as your creator?
No.
Do you have a justification for that?
I don't have daddy issues.
Yeah, we're looking to talk with people giving adult answers instead of, 8th grade cafeteria table answers. So do you have a justification that God does not exist?
Yeah, I said I don't have daddy issues.
Goodbye. Goodbye, little boy.
Sky daddy issues.
Yeah. Doing a psychoanalysis, it doesn't follow because you think that people believe in God for wrong reasons. It doesn't follow from that God doesn't exist. Kai Nielsen, the famous atheist philosopher who was selected to write the atheist entry in the Routledge Encyclopedia of Philosophy, stated in one of his books, all of the reasons for God may fail, but it still could be the case that God exists. So do you see the pattern here? Day in and day out, week in and week out, month in and month out, we see the same irrational responses about why they believe God does not exist. Welcome, Under. Do you accept God as your creator?
Yes.
Are you a Christian?
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll look into talk with unbelievers. Thank you for coming. So, folks out there, the atheists over the years have not given us any substantive reason or proof to believe that their God denialism is rational. So not only do we lack belief that they're rational about denying God, they haven't given us any evidence to support that they're rational in their God denialism. DJ, do you accept God as your creator? Or the DJ, are you there? Okay. By the way, the same thing's not showing up on my screen. I cannot invite people up. I don't get this.
Okay, well, I'm doing it, so.
Okay. I just wish I knew what the problem was.
It's better if just one. Yeah, I swear if you click on your own name and then you click the top right buttons, it should give you that option. But you're saying it doesn't, so.
Yeah, it says settings, and then there's an expand thing, and there's no. Yeah, there's no. There used to be. It used to work. Bolt, do you accept God as your creator?
I do not.
Can you tell me why?
Well, outside of just like the prepackaged statement of like there is no evidence that I can determine with my own senses, I can't. But ultimately, that's my answer.
I'm not hearing a clear answer.
I guess, what are you asking then?
I'm asking why you deny that there's a creator.
I have never been presented with evidence that there was.
Okay. So that is just a verbal camouflage for asserting naturalism. Do you realize that?
I guess explain that to me.
Naturalism is that the world as it presents itself to you is just natural. It just, the world exists with independence from God. So how is naturalism true?
Based on the senses that I have?
Yeah, that's a completely non-informative response. How does you witnessing a tree blow in the wind or the sun rising and setting, how does that indicate the world exists with independence from a creator?
Is that like a solipsistic concept of like that I can't perceive anything outside of my own self?
I'm still waiting for you to explain to me how observing things in the physical world means there's no God.
Well, I'm not saying that like perceiving things identify that there isn't a God, but that
for the same fact, perceiving things doesn't therefore also outright identify.
So you're a shapeshifter?
I guess clarify what a shapeshifter is.
Yeah, a shapeshifter is somebody who first identifies as an atheist, a God denier, and then they shapeshift to going, oh, golly shucks, I'm just unconvinced.
Oh, no, the image in the back, I guess, is what led me to believe, like, I'm an agnostic, and then unveiling that they're an atheist. So I guess to clarify, I think that I am an agnostic because I don't believe that God exists, because I don't believe there is proof that there is a God, but I don't believe that there is proof that there is no God, and therefore
So you are shape-shifting. You're shape-shifting from a God denier to the claim that you're neutral as an agnostic. Will you accept and acknowledge right now the necessity of God when speaking about the world?
What requires an existence of God?
I asked you, what was the question I just asked you?
You asked if I would accept that there is the requirement for a God.
No, I said, will you accept the necessity of the existence of God when speaking about the world? Will you accept that right now?
Why should I suppose?
That you're evading the question. I said, will you accept the necessity of God right now?
I mean, no, that's the reason I logged in.
Okay, so you have now given up the luxury of pulling out your laminated incredulity card. You're now in a position of denying the existence of God. You're affirming the non-necessity of God. Okay? Since you refuse to accept
that there is no God.
You are. You're affirming. You're doing it. Okay, I'm trying to explain it. I'm trying to explain something to you. Sure. You can affirm and deny things both directly and indirectly. Okay, you are refusing to accept the necessity of God when speaking about the world, which means you're accepting the non-necessity of God until shown otherwise. So it makes no difference whether your God denialism is either direct or indirect, explicit or implicit. So we can stop playing this little game that you're just unconvinced. Your position is you refuse to accept and acknowledge the necessity of God, which means you're operating off of the principle that the world is in terms of the non-necessity of God until shown otherwise.
Well, I would say that I would reposition my point and say that I would accept that there is a God if there is evidence that there was one. It's not that I'm denying that there is a God.
Right. Yeah. Well, I've heard that cliched response many times before. So are we clear now that you in fact deny God's existence? You no longer can pull the incredulity card?
No, I'm not denying God's existence. I'm saying that I don't.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to go through this one more time. Okay. I don't think you could possibly be this stupid. I think you're just being evasive. Okay. No, I'm not when you refuse to accept the necessity of God, then you are speaking about the world with reference to the non-necessity of God. So facts of the world will either be invoked with reference to the necessity of God or without. So when you speak facts, you're speaking facts by choice without referencing the necessity of God. Are we clear that's what you do?
No, honestly, I'm not clear with that. I don't understand.
Okay, do you speak facts with reference to the necessity of God or without?
Do I speak facts with the necessity of God?
Or without?
I guess you're going to have to explain that to me. I'm sorry.
No, with or without?
I need
are you speaking things with respect that you're an intelligent human being or without being an intelligent human being?
Am I speaking
what you're doing right now is you are blatantly being evasive to my question.
No,
you're trying to evade. Okay, have a nice day. No, you're not. Goodbye. You see how devious and deceitful these people are? What do they think? We're stupid?
It's because atheism is a house of cards, so they have no other options but to cheat when we debate this issue.
It's always going, oh, I'm just unconvinced. I'm just unconvinced. I'm unconvinced.
Right.
You're not.
That's why I made the meme.
Yeah.
So remember.
Yeah, it's not that they're unconvinced. They're feigning being unconvinced. They're pretending to be unconvinced. They're using verbal camouflage, pretending they're unconvinced. But the fact of the matter is, they've decided that God is not necessary to be referenced.
we're admitting our position. We're saying we're Christians. We're being open up front, and they're not being open. They're trying to camouflage their position because they're afraid. They're terrified.
No,
They're
because they're cheating because they can't defend the falsity of God.
their atheist heroes don't give them any good evidence or arguments to go debate their atheism, and their atheist heroes are lying to them. And remember, if you request up, expect to get interrogated by Darth. He will ask you questions. You have to answer the questions. And B, what's the other thing? I forgot the second rule. There's another rule.
Yeah, don't be evasive and deceptive.
Basically, there's another rule.
So the point is, they want to play.
Oh yeah,
this
Darth can
game.
interrupt. Darth can interrupt you. That's the other rule.
Yeah.
Darth will interrogate you and interrupt you.
Yeah. So they want to play this little charade that we're just unconvinced. Every atheist who denies God's existence is unconvinced. So telling us that you're unconvinced is not informative. Are you unconvinced because you're truly neutral? Or are you unconvinced because you refuse to accept the necessity of God as revealed through creation? Welcome, Radu. Do you accept God as your creator?
No. Why would
I? Why? Because the world exemplifies ultimate intentionality and design, and were it not to, nothing could.
Prove me God is real.
Why are you interrupting me? Why are you interrupting me when I'm answering you?
Because you're making no fucking sense. Prove to me.
Have a nice day. Wow. What is it? Isn't it amazing? It is absolutely amazing how rude, obnoxious, worse than childish, immature, disrespectful, evasive, deceptive these people are. It is so pervasive as a character trait of these people.
Why God? Pray to God.
Give me a reason why you should. Okay. I tried to give you a reason, and in the midst of me giving you a reason of how the world unambiguously reveals God, he just decides to be rude and just bicker. You see, that's their whole shtick. It's just bicker. Don't debate like a logical person. Just bicker. Vitrified, do you accept God as your creator?
Just call me Ash or something. No, I do not accept God.
Yeah, do you have a justification for that?
Well, I simply follow the scientific evidence, and it appears to point that God's not necessary.
Okay, what scientific literature, papers, or scientific textbook demonstrate empirically that God's not necessary?
None, but they don't point to his necessity either.
Okay, you're not okay. No.
I mean, that's like arguing unicorns are necessary. There's no evidence against it, so yeah.
Okay, yeah, there is evidence against unicorns. We have good reasons to believe that there are unicorns. Are there any? Let me ask you this. Let me ask you a question.
There aren't unicorns.
Listen to me.
Okay.
Are there any non-neurologically impaired and mentally impaired adults on this planet that literally believe that there are unicorns?
Yes, a lot of Scottish people believe unicorns exist.
Yeah, you're full of crap. That's an absolute.
It's their national animal. Lying. Look at it. Look it up.
Look, it doesn't matter.
Look it up.
Hey, sir, listen to me. When you lie to me, I'm going to kick you. Now, you're either going to admit right now that you're lying, or I'm going to kick you. It doesn't matter that it is used as a symbol. There are no Scottish people that are non-neurologically or mentally impaired and believe in the actual physical reality of unicorns. Okay, now, do you want to apologize for lying?
Sure, let's assume I'm wrong. When you could just Google
I'm not
it.
assuming. I want you to be truthful. I don't want you to bullshit me.
There.
Okay,
you're welcome.
Have a nice day.
Have a good day, you bullshit.
Yeah, okay. Do you see how mentally twisted these people are? Wow.
I mean, they want to say that we believe in Sky Daddy, and then they're arguing like unicorns are like some rational thing or something. What is this?
This is it's total bullshit. Okay, this is what I've noticed about them, that this is a pervasive character trait in most of the atheists that I've interacted with or listened to, that they're unabashedly engaging in just empty rhetoric, deception, and evasion. Welcome, Kevin. Do you accept God as your creator?
Of course I do.
Okay. We're looking to talk with unbelievers. Are you a Christian?
Yes. I just wanted to say that God is real and Jesus is real. They're both real. They're both everywhere. So,
Thank you. Okay. So you see, this is what we're dealing with. Why is it that, I understand that sometimes some theists can misbehave, but why is it that after dealing with atheists and unbelievers for 14 years on a daily basis, there is this pervasive deceptiveness and evasiveness and grotesque immature behavior? Why? Okay. I'm not
Maybe,
imagining it.
Could it be daddy issues?
Oh, yeah. Daddy issues. Yeah.
Hello?
In fact, Dr. Paul Vitz, he's either a psychologist or a sociologist, he wrote a research book dealing with some of the great prominent people in human history who were atheists, and they all had daddy issues. Welcome, Kappas. Do you accept God as your creator?
So I don't know if he is, but I'd like to hear your.
Okay, so you're claiming neutrality?
I'm claiming.
Yeah, saying I don't know is claiming neutrality.
Okay, sure.
Okay, well, you're not neutral. That's just a verbal camouflage. Will you accept the necessity of God right now for speaking about things of the world? Will you accept God's necessity right now?
If that means if we can debate, sure.
No, I'm asking you to be sincere. Will you accept God's necessity right now?
What is God's necessity?
Okay, goodbye.
Whoa.
Goodbye, teenagers trapped in adult bodies. Okay. You see the pattern of behavior? You see how they play this game? Oh, what do you mean by up? What do you mean by chair? What do you mean by the necessity of God?
What's behavior? I'm not sure what that word means. Let's talk about the meaning of every word and then debate.
Yeah. Because atheism is so bankrupt and so vacuous that they have to resort to these ridiculous bickering and evasive tactics.
Okay, so remember, God, if you're requesting to come up, be prepared for an interrogation. Darth will answer your questions. He will interrupt you if you don't answer, or Darth will ask questions and will interrupt if you don't answer the questions. And
if you're evasive.
A response is not an answer. You have to actually answer the questions. You can't just give a response.
I don't have to agree with the answer, but if you're deceptive, I'm going to interrupt you. So you notice how almost all of them say, I don't see any evidence for God. So you're making a universal declaration that the world exemplifies independence from God until falsified or shown otherwise. Good. What's the evidence for that? Welcome, Nick. Do you accept God as your creator?
No.
You have a justification for that?
The world around me.
Yeah. How does the world around you indicate there is no creator?
Well, let's look at the universe, for instance. We have a 1 in 200,000 chance every day of an asteroidal impact. Why would God create that? Black holes, magmatars, quasars. Why would God create that?
Because he has a plan of creation and redemptive history.
Super volcanoes. Okay.
Did you hear my... Hold on a second. Did you hear my answer? I just gave you an explanation why God has implemented the good, the bad, and the ugly, because he has a plan of creation and redemptive history. Now, the fact that you don't agree with that plan, where God incorporates or implements the good, the bad, and the ugly, it's not a defeater for the existence of God.
Okay, does it say anything about that in the Bible?
Yeah, I just gave you the brief. I just gave you the briefest summary. When you read the Bible from Genesis, I'm answering you.
Not the plan, because you don't know.
I'm trying, sir. I'm answering you. Are all you atheists born rude? Is it a genetic defect? Now, if you read from Genesis to Revelation, there are a number of repeated themes, and one of the themes is God has a plan of creation. And following rebellion, he implements a plan of what is called redemptive history which he allows certain things to take place, which I like to characterize as the good, the bad, and the ugly, in order to fulfill his ultimate plan of redemption until Judgment Day. So that's why these things are there. Bringing up these unpleasantries that you find distasteful or objectionable is not a defeater for the existence of God.
Can I ask something? Do you believe there's been mass extinctions on this planet before?
You mean as in evolution?
No. I mean like the Chicxulub crater, for instance. It's like 150 miles wide off the Chicxulub crater, or the Yucatan Peninsula. What do you think caused that?
Oh, I don't know. That might be part of the original creation.
Okay, here's another thing. Do you realize how long dinosaurs were around before us?
And how do you know that deep time is true?
Okay, but let's just say
no. I asked you a question. I don't accept the status quo or the consensus that deep time is true.
Okay.
You have been fed propaganda that deep time is true. Do you believe that radiometric isotope dating is a valid way to conclude that deep time is true?
I think it's a good theory.
Okay, did you know that it's circular reasoning?
Yeah, but still, why does?
Did you say? Are you agree when you said yeah, but are you agreeing that it's circular reasoning?
Well, why do 98% of scientists agree with
Sir, why are you dodging my reasonable questions? I asked you a question. Do you accept and agree with me that appeals to radiometric isotope dating methods and other similar methodologies are based upon circular reasoning? Do you agree with me on that?
Sure, I'll agree with you.
Okay, so so then what other reason would you have to believe that deep time is true, other than the fact that it's a pervasive view held within academia and science?
Pervasive. Okay. Well, are you a young Earth creationist? Do you think?
Yes, I am, and I am, and I'm still waiting for you to give me an answer.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out where
you're just trying to be evasive to my question. Are you going to answer my question, or shall I move on to somebody else?
What was the question?
Okay. What reason do you have to believe that deep time is true?
Just looking at mountains, fossils, dinosaurs.
Okay, so stop right there. Let's go with mountains. Are mountains evidence that it took eons of time for them to uplift?
Do we see them being created now?
Do we see them happening now? No.
Okay, then.
Okay. Do you know what you're espousing?
What?
Do you know what it's called?
Tell me.
It's called uniformitarianism.
Uniformitarianism,
Uniformitarianism was something that was promulgated by Charles Lyell, who deeply influenced Charles Darwin. Uniformitarianism is not empirically verifiable, but it is an ideological interpretive filter that's saying we will interpret certain geological phenomenon according to slow-moving processes that we see today. So, for example, the Bible talks about God uplifted the mountains, and the mountains could have been raised either during or after the flood. So the mountains themselves are not ipso facto proof of deep time. Don't confuse the fact of a mountain and therefore the mountain means deep time.
But I'm not saying it's proof. It's factual. You're coming from a factual standpoint. I'm not. I'm looking at the best theory.
How is a mountain proof of deep time?
It looks like it would take a very long time for that thing to be created. If you believe in tectonic plates,
you're conjecturing.
I know, but so are you technically.
Okay. Well, listen, we're coming at this from two different worldviews. I'm coming at it from a biblical worldview. 100%. You're coming at from a naturalistic worldview. But the fact of the matter is, you're believing that it would take long periods of time to do that doesn't make it true.
That's I don't disagree. I don't disagree at all.
Good. So I'm still waiting for you to explain to me why deep time is true.
Well, the burden of proof is actually on you. You're the one trying to convince.
No, sir. Did you bring up the notion of deep time?
Well, I did, but I can't prove it.
Oh, okay. Well, then
You
good.
can't prove the existence of God.
Then good. So you're believing the propaganda of deep time,
and you're believing a book written by primitive man. So there, we're
okay. So no. Well, when I look at that book,
well, actually, no, we're not
when
even.
I look,
we're much more intelligent beings right now.
Sir.
They
Listen,
wipe their ass with
how
their
old are you? Okay.
I'm 43.
What you're doing is, what you're doing is, you are rejecting the Bible as a comprehensive model of reality. Okay, that model of reality is grounded in the attribute set of God. Okay, which is exclusive and indispensable, and no other worldview has it. When you dismiss the Bible, it follows from that you are dismissing the attribute set of the God of the Bible. So when you dismiss the attribute set of the God of the Bible, you are dismissing that the God of the Bible is the absolute from which all things derive and depend upon. So since you believe in science, okay, what is it that institutes and secures that there are any regularities apart from God? What does that?
I think it's really boils down to just what makes the most sense to each individual.
You're not answering my question because you either can't answer the question or you're afraid to answer the question. You're saying what you just said. Now, I'm asking you a question. In a world without the attribute set of the God of the Bible, where the mind, the purpose, and the plan of God would institute the regularities of the world, you believe that something else actualizes the regularities of the world, correct?
Something else?
Something else actualizes the regularities of the world. That's what you believe.
I don't really know what you mean by that.
Either it is the mind and the purpose and the character set of the God of the Bible that actualizes the regularities of the world, or you believe that something else does, correct?
I don't know what that something else would be, though.
Oh, okay. So guess what? Now your position is vastly worse than my position from your perspective. So you're believing that there's an invisible, unidentified something for which you don't have proof for. And yet that's the indictment that you level against the biblical worldview. But yet you're violating your own principle, aren't you?
No, I don't think so at all.
Oh, what is the evidence and proof for the something else that actualizes the regularities of the world? What is it?
I have just as much proof as you do. Actually, no, I think I have more.
You know what, sir? As a grown man, you're incredibly evasive. You believe that something else other than God actualizes the regularity of the world. You dismiss the God of the Bible because it doesn't have proof, correct?
No, it just doesn't make sense to me at all.
Okay, that's an empty cliche. When you say it doesn't make sense, listen carefully. When you say a proposition or a set of propositions doesn't make sense, it either means that it's unintelligible or it doesn't conform and cohere to another proposition that you accept as true. Now, you surely are not saying that the biblical model is unintelligible.
Well, it's certainly interpreted in thousands of different ways.
Sir, look, I don't want to have to kick you.
I'll say unintelligible,
because people will. Then you're absolutely lying, because the Bible is a book that has been printed for hundreds of years, and it is quite intelligible. People have written books pro and con about the content of the Bible. It's quite intelligible. When you say it doesn't make sense, what you really means is it doesn't conform to some proposition, correct?
Well, I think it makes that. Why are there so many different interpretations?
Why do you keep on ignoring what I am presenting to you? That is a tactic of either incompetence or deceit. Now,
it's a debate.
Sir, listen carefully. You surely cannot be serious as to say that the Bible is an unintelligible book. That would be an outright lie. Okay? So when you say the Bible, the biblical model of reality doesn't make sense, what proposition is it inconsistent with? You see, you don't have evidence or proof that the Bible doesn't make sense. That's just an empty accusation.
Well, I'm trying to give you examples, and you're just trying to stick to one.
No, I shut my mouth after I asked a question, and there was
Yeah,
dead
but you're
air.
making me. You're making.
Okay, I'll shut up.
Question.
Here's the question, and I'll shut up.
No.
What is the proposition or propositions that the Bible does not cohere with in order to rationally conclude the Bible doesn't make sense?
I don't know. I mean, I think we could just go through it page by page. How about?
Sir, you're being completely evasive.
How about the first page?
What proposition does the biblical model of reality contradict? You see, all you've got is empty rhetoric. When all you have is empty rhetoric and you're asked very salient questions, then there's dead silence because there's nothing behind the empty rhetoric. What proposition does the biblical model of reality contradict?
Yeah. Okay, slavery, Great Flood.
Okay, well, first of all, first of all, the Hebrew word for slave that's translated in English is ebed. It can be translated to be a servant, or it can mean to be somebody who is put into forced servitude, okay? Regardless of which way you want to understand the Hebrew word in the given context, the fact that slavery was permitted, hypothetically speaking, it doesn't follow from that the biblical worldview is not true. So that was a failed answer. What other proposition does the biblical worldview contradict? You see, you were quite bold when you said the Bible doesn't make sense, and I'm asking you to fulfill your claim.
Well, it doesn't, because I think if we could go, why don't I turn to the first page?
What is the proposition that the biblical model contradicts?
Yeah, well, science and mathematics. There you go.
Okay, well, first of all, are all conclusions in science provisional?
I don't believe so, no.
Really? Well, then you don't understand science. Any conclusion in science is provisional. Science is littered with the corpses of previously held consensus that have been overturned by another one. Do you hold to the steady state theory?
At least it's
hold on a
built
second.
upon and constantly changes.
Hold on a second.
Instead of stuck in one period of time.
Okay, so the point is this. Just because there may be a theoretical construct that achieves popularity or consensus, it doesn't logically follow from it that it's true. So that's why all conclusions in science are provisional. So, for example, are you familiar with the James Webb Space Telescope?
Of course.
Okay, do you know what the predictions were before it went online?
No, I do not.
Okay, they predicted that we would see the early stages of the beginning of the universe, that we would see the beginning formation of stars, solar systems, and galaxies. Okay? Now, is that what they saw?
No, I think they're thinking...
No. And in fact, creationist astronomer Jason Lyell, who's a creationist, said that when it goes online, he's on record, he says, when it goes online, the images that we will receive are fully formed and fully developed solar systems and galaxies. And that's exactly what was seen. So the point is, there is nothing in science that falsifies the Bible. There may be certain provisional conclusions that are inconsistent with the Bible, but that doesn't demonstrate that the Bible's false. Like the theory of evolution is inconsistent with the biblical account of creation. But nobody has demonstrated that evolution is true. It's just a pervasive consensus. Did you know that a few years ago in the early 2000s, they were saying, and including the head of the Human Genome Project, Francis Collins, said that the non-protein coding regions of DNA were junk DNA. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
Okay, this was a pervasive belief among evolutionary biologists and researchers that the non-protein coding regions of DNA were junk. They were flotsam and jetsam accumulations over millions or billions of years. The more investigation that we do into the non-protein coding regions in DNA, we're finding out that it's not junk, that they have very important regulatory functions. So were they wrong about that pronouncement that it's junk DNA? Well, of course they were. So the fact that certain beliefs or theoretical constructs, provisional conclusions, don't square with the biblical narrative that God has given, it doesn't follow from it that it falsifies God or the Bible. Okay. So what proposition does the Bible contradict? That's true. You see, you got nothing but empty rhetoric.
I just don't understand how you can go through that book and think it's true. I mean, have
Why?
you read the last
Why?
chapter?
I'll tell you why. Because
I read
when
the
I
first
look at the
page in the last chapter. It's all I need to read.
And what about that?
What about it?
Yeah. What about it falsifies itself?
Oh, that the stars, the sun, and the planets were all created in 7 days or something like that.
And why is that a problem?
Well, because stars are being created right now.
No, we don't know that. That's what you're told.
But there's a pretty good chance that they are.
No. See, notice how you're moving from they are forming right now to there's a chance.
Well, again, because it's a theory, and you can't technically prove it, so you have to form it.
Okay. The bottom line is this. When the Bible says that God created the heavens and the earth and the stars.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
even
if I were to agree to you that there was something like an accretion disk was forming a dense matter, producing something in the beginning stages of a star, it wouldn't follow from that the biblical account of creation that God created all the stars when that was written. Okay.
Well, yeah, but we kind of know how.
Hold on a second. In the United States, was Henry Ford the creator and the manufacturer of the mass-produced automobile? Was he the creator of the mass-produced automobile?
I believe so.
Okay. Does the fact that certain other automobile manufacturers came along the scene later on, does that falsify his place in history?
No.
Good. So even if you were to observe a star forming, that wouldn't falsify the biblical account of creation.
Well, yeah, because it basically made it sound like they just appeared out of nowhere, with a snap of the fingers, But now we're seeing
God spoke all of the matter and the energy into existence.
Okay.
So I'm still waiting for you to provide me with something that falsifies the biblical record. The reason why the biblical record is true is because central to the biblical record is the attribute set of God himself as the ground of all being. If you dismiss the collective attribute set of the God of the Bible, then when you speak about your world, you can't make sense of your world. Do you reject things that don't make sense?
No. No,
You
I
just
can't
well,
make
you
sense of
yeah,
everything.
you just what's that again?
I can't make sense of everything.
Okay, do you reject the Bible because it doesn't make sense?
I just think science makes more sense than the Bible.
You're not, you know, sir. I just quoted you from earlier. You said you reject the Bible because it doesn't make sense. Do you remember?
Correct.
Okay.
I
Now,
came to this conclusion when I was
can
13.
you? I'm going to ask you a very simple question. Can you make sense of your not God world?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Now, there's only two possible worlds. There's the God world and the not God world.
Mm-hmm.
In the God world, God will be the single, concrete, causal, unifying principle for all states of identity and classes and categories of unity in the world. When you reject that, in order to make sense of your world, you're going to have to give an account of the something else that actualizes all levels of unity in the world without which you couldn't make sense of it. So, what is it that is identifiable, not a statement of abstraction, that actualizes all the different states of unity in the world?
Well, I can't give you an answer to that.
Well, then guess what? So that when you speak of various levels of unity in the world, from the smallest scale to the grandest scale, without reference to God, okay, you're doing so without proof and without evidence that there's something that is actualizing the unity in the world. So you can't make sense of your world. Do you know that I asked that same question to one of the smartest atheists in the world? And do you know what his answer was?
Who is this before you say the answer?
His name is Graham Oppie.
Never heard of him.
Yeah, he's one of the smartest atheists in the world.
As far as I haven't heard
You
of
can
him.
laugh all you want. Yeah, he's highly regarded. When I asked him how he makes sense of his not God world, what is it that actualizes the various levels of unity in the world? His genius answer was, I see books on my shelf. You see, you told me you reject the Bible because it doesn't make sense. Can you make sense of your world without God?
Yes.
Good. What is it that makes the unity in the world that you believe true and real? What actualizes it?
You already asked me that question. I told you I can't answer it. There's nothing.
Okay, then your claim to make sense of your world, you can't make sense of it because
Of
you
course
don't.
I can't. No, I can't. I think there's way more than we can even begin to fathom.
So your belief that there are various scales of unity in the world without reference to God is just a universal declaration without proof or evidence, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but again, you don't have proof or evidence either.
Oh no. Well, do you have a rebuttal to the biblical worldview?
Yeah.
The proof of the biblical worldview is that the attribute set of the God of the Bible is exclusive and indispensable for everything, including truth, reason, and intelligibility. Do you know what a transcendental argument is?
No.
Okay, a transcendental argument is neither an inductive nor a deductive argument, but it involves a bit of both. It's an indirect argument. And it goes like this. In order for X to be true, okay, Y must be true. Okay? In order for X to be true, Y must be true. X is true, therefore Y. So do you understand the nature of a transcendental argument?
Mm-hmm.
Good. In order for there to be truth, reason, and intelligibility and actuality in the world, one is going to have to recognize that the property set of God who reveals himself in creation exists because he's revealed himself in a non-rational denial thereof. In other words, okay? Now, if the part of a transcendental argument is this, is that if you deny the first premise, you're reduced to absurdity. So a transcendental argument is a proof for things. Okay? So the self-revealing God, whose character set is absolute, perfect, and the ground of all being, who institutes all actuality, intelligibility, and reason according to his plan, he has revealed himself as the necessary precondition for these things. Okay? These things exist, therefore the God of the Bible exists. Now, if you reject premise one, you're going to have to identify what the ground of being is that's not God, that provides for truth, reason, intelligibility, and the actualization of everything. Can you do that?
No.
Okay, so I have given you a proof. I've given you a transcendental proof for the God of the Bible. Now, you not accepting the transcendental argument or proof is not a rebuttal. Saying I haven't proven anything is a vacuous response unless you have a rebuttal to the transcendental argument. But any attempt to rebut premise one will end in futility, because in order to rebut premise one, that the God who is, in terms of his attribute set, who reveals himself in creation and through human history, right? You're going to have to tell me what the ground of all being is in order to rebut that the God of the Bible is the necessary precondition. So I've given you a proof for the Bible. So do you have a rebuttal?
Well, you'd have to, this revealing himself. When did he exactly reveal himself?
Do you have a rebuttal?
Well, this premise one where you say,
yeah, that the God of the Bible has revealed himself in and through creation and ultimately through the prophets in Jesus Christ, and it's been propositionally secured in the Bible.
Right. And so I don't even really believe he ever revealed himself in the first place.
Okay, so what if you believe it? Is that a relativistic pronouncement, or is that objective?
Objective.
Do you have objective grounds that the God of the Bible hasn't revealed himself?
I mean, there's no proof.
That's not an argument. In order to say that the propositional content of the Bible, and by the way, are you saying that the world is not emblematic of a creator?
I am.
Okay. Is the world emblematic of being independent of God?
Is the world emblematic of what?
Of independence from God.
I would say so, yes.
Good. What's the proof or evidence for that?
Again, that's nothing I can provide.
Okay, so you've now violated your own principle. So you're holding to a universal declaration that the world is independent of God rather than the world depends and is emblematic of God. You're holding to a universal declaration in violation of your criterion of belief that you use to dismiss God. Do you realize you are violating your own principle?
How so?
You said there's no proof that the world is emblematic of God. What is the proof that the world is emblematic of independence from God?
You can't give me proof, and so you're asking me to give you proof.
You know what you just did?
You're just turning it around on me. That's all you're doing.
What you just did was dodge a legitimate question based upon your own assertions. And what you're doing is you're cheating in the conversation. You said you require proof in order to accept the universal declaration that the world depends upon God and that the world is emblematic of ultimate design. Okay, you require proof to that. But when I ask you for proof of the universal declaration that the world is emblematic of being independent from God, you don't have proof. So you're accepting a proposition, a universal declaration, in violation of your own principle. Do you realize you're doing that?
I disagree.
Oh, okay. So do you require proof in order to accept that the world depends upon God?
Do I require proof that the world? I don't think the world depends upon God at all.
Okay. Are you having trouble focusing? Are you ill? Because
No,
that's not an answer to my question. Do you require proof or evidence in order to accept the universal proposition that the world derives and depends upon God? Do you require proof for that?
I do. or at least some evidence, something
Okay.
besides the book.
What is the proof or
Anything.
evidence that the world exists with independence from God? What's the proof and evidence for that?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
What is the proof or the evidence for the world existing with independence from God? I'm applying the same criterion that you apply to the God world. I'm applying it to your world. Because if you don't pony up some proof or evidence for the independence of the world, you're being inconsistent with your own rejection of the existence of God, or that the world is emblematic of ultimate design. What is the proof or evidence that the world is to be reckoned as independent from God?
Again, that's nothing I can provide.
Okay, so you're being irrational then. The very criterion that you use to dismiss the God world, listen carefully to my words. The very criterion that you use to dismiss the God world, you abandon that criterion when you adopt the negation of the God world.
No.
So what you're doing then is you're engaging in special pleading. The God world has to have proof and evidence, but the not God world doesn't require proof and evidence from your point of view, right?
Not necessarily. I think it really.
No, sir. I want to throw up every time somebody says to me on TikTok, not necessarily, because that is just a verbiage of obfuscation.
Okay, but
do you require proof and evidence for the God world?
Isn't this all about faith?
Do you require proof and evidence for the God world?
Is this all about faith?
Goodbye.
Well, that was an epically long conversation, and then it ends. Isn't this all about faith?
Isn't it amazing, folks, how incredibly evasive and deceptive the very people who claim that they stand boldly, they want evidence and proof, yet the very position that they hold to, that the world is to be reckoned as independent from God, they don't have any proof or evidence for that. So you see, the reason why this dialectic is so difficult, and I just don't mean this specific one, I mean with all unbelievers, is because we're not dealing with people who don't have proof and evidence. God has given them all the proof that they need, but they don't want to be in that world. So they are psychologically deceiving themselves. And when you're dealing with somebody who is in a state of psychological self-deception, you can't reason with somebody like that.
Correct. And we also can't really expect to reason with them.
That's right.
Yeah. So the whole point of
how many times, listening to my interaction with him, how many times did you hear him being evasive to what I was presenting to him? I'm not talking about not agreeing with me. I'm talking about blatantly being evasive what I was presenting to him.
It's like the World Series, and we got Darth Dawkins playing the Dodgers,
Yeah. The Los Angeles Dodgers.
Okay, so just to make it clear to everyone, if you request up, you can expect to be interrogated. Darth will ask you questions. If your response is not a direct answer to the questions, Darth will interrupt you and force you to answer the question. So I don't want to hear any complaints about any behavior because you're volunteering. When you request up, you're volunteering to be interrogated by Darth.
This is not accepting the proof and rationale for the existence of God and the proof and evidence for the God of the Bible, as I have laid it out, is not a defeater. That proof hasn't been given. Not accepting it is not an argument. Welcome, Swampy. Do you accept
Hello.
God as your creator?
Definitely not in the way that you do. If you'd let me explain, I can tell you.
That's not the question that I ask you. Do you accept that there is a creator?
Yeah.
Which God do you believe in?
In my own God.
What?
In my own God. I believe in my own belief, my own God.
Okay, and I'm asking you who that God is.
It is my God.
Okay, have a nice day. Okay, when you're old enough to shave, come back and talk with me. Okay. You see, I don't have time for this little 15-year-old, 16-year-old antics. I want to talk with mature, intelligent adults. Okay. Javin, do you accept God as your creator?
Hello?
Do you accept God as your creator?
No.
Do you have a justification for that?
Yeah. Because I don't see no evidence of a God.
Okay, what is your evidence that the world exists with independence from God?
The destruction and the baby killing. 5 million kids die yearly before the age of
Guess
5.
what? None of us are going to escape this planet alive. It doesn't follow from that there's not a God. Okay, a creator God can have a plan where he implements the good, the bad, and the ugly. So that's not a defeater for the existence of God.
No, well, I don't. You can call it what you want to call it, but I'm just wanna.
You're ignoring what I'm saying to you. I'm making it very clear to you, pointing out that people
Yeah.
pass away
Yeah.
is not a logical defeater that there's not a God, because such a God could have his own sufficient reasons
All right.
in a plan of creation for implementing these things that we find distasteful. So
Okay.
the fact that
Yeah.
fact that people die does
Yeah.
not mean there's no God.
Yeah, but listen. All right, that's your opinion, but listen to mine. Yeah.
No, sir. It's not. Look, you know what? I don't want to have to kick you. Saying that that's my opinion is not a rebuttal. It's a cheap shot. Now, it doesn't logically and necessarily follow because
Yeah.
people die, therefore there's no God.
But so I can't make a statement, right?
If you dodge my question, you're going to be removed. I'll repeat the question. Does it
Yeah.
logically and necessarily follow because people die that there's no creator?
No.
Okay, so do you have anything else why there's no creator?
Why you are an adult and a child should die when he's 2 year old or
Okay,
1 year
sir,
old?
having unanswered questions or objecting
No, you
to the fact that
you
look,
can't bully
you
your
see
way to a God.
when you
You're
listen,
trying
I'm
to
trying to
bully.
explain to you
You're
why
trying
your
to
thinking
bully
is
your way
wrong.
to a God.
Okay, have a
Yeah,
nice
that's
day.
all you can do. That's
You see how self-deceived and self-blinded people are? Notice they have to bring up the children. The children.
It's
Okay?
an appeal to emotion. It's a very good rhetorical strategy.
It is. Now, would it make you feel better if nobody under the age of 15 died? Would that mean there's a God then?
Well, we could just flip it on them and we could say that, look, if there's no God, we'll never see those children again. But if there's a God, we can be reunited with our lost loved ones in heaven.
No. You know what the problem is? We're not having an intellectual disagreement here. What we have people who they do not want to acknowledge God. They do not want to be in God's world. And since they don't have a defeater for God's existence, they want to go, na 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 boo boo, some children in the world die. Yeah, that's right. And some 20-year-olds die, and some 80-year-olds die.
But then we're just believing things because we want them to be true, and we're not believing things based on evidence and logic. So if you request up, you will be interrogated by Darth. He will ask you questions. A response is not necessarily an answer, and if you do not answer, he will interrupt you and force you to answer, or you will be removed. Those are the rules. That's the situation you're voluntarily accepting when you request up, but don't want to hear complaints about people's behavior.
Yeah. The God of the Bible has his own sufficient reasons to implement a number of temporal judgments, including death and suffering and other natural disasters through the course of human history in order to fulfill. Sorry, I had to sneeze. In order to fulfill his overall plan of redemption. You not liking it, you objecting to it, is not a logical, rational defeater against the existence of God.
You know, this Mel girl is requesting to come up. Remember you talked to her earlier?
Nah, don't bring her up. She's a waste of time.
She had me. They had me go on her live, right? And all they did was complain about you muting people. And guess what they did? They muted me like 5 times while complaining about you muting people. How am I supposed to take someone like that seriously?
Yeah. Welcome, Scotty. Do you accept God as your creator?
Looks like he's not connecting. Yeah, he didn't connect. Some people have been waiting for a long time.
You see, what we see among unbelievers, we see a persistent pattern of behavior, both of immaturity, deceptiveness, and evasiveness. Because when they present their alleged defeaters for God's existence, and we walk them through that these are non sequiturs, they do not logically necessitate that God does not exist, they just simply ignore it, and they repeat, wash, and rinse.
There's a lot of people that have been waiting a long time. They probably disconnected. This guy's been waiting a really long time. There we go.
Yeah, I don't mind you coming up, Mel, but you are utterly evasive and irrational. Let's see. Nihilism. Do you accept God as your creator?
No.
Do you have a justification for that?
I would say that Jesus's morals didn't and doesn't exactly line up with my own.
Yeah, dude, I'm looking to talk with intelligent adults, not for somebody giving me a stupid, childish response.
I mean, if you can justify
No,
slavery for someone
look.
that's stupid.
I'm not trying to be mean. Okay, I'm going to be straight with you. Okay, what you just said is stupid. It doesn't follow from that Jesus is not real.
So, dude, you're justifying slavery then?
Okay. Well, first of all, what is the Hebrew word that is translated slave?
I don't know Hebrew, so I wouldn't know.
Oh, okay. So the Hebrew word is ebed. Okay.
Okay.
Now, do you know there are numerous instances where the word is and should be translated as somebody who serves another?
No.
So the point is, in the Old Testament, it says you are not to treat people like they were treated in Egypt, meaning put into forced servitude. So the word translated slave is an unfortunate translation. It should have been translated servant. Okay. Now,
it's basically
okay. So the point is this: what the Old Testament is talking about are various forms of contractual servitude, not kidnapping people and forced servitude. Do you know that in the Old Testament law, it says that if somebody is serving somebody else and they flee, they're not to be returned to the person who they're serving. So how do you have antebellum slavery with such a statute? So you see, your charge of slavery is just a bugaboo because you don't want to accept the God of the Bible. You can't falsify the God of the Bible, so you want to sit there and smear the God of the Bible.
Well, it's not like we've eliminated slavery in modern world, and so how can we impugn an ancient world for not being able to do the same? Like, you know, prisoners, if you commit crimes, you go to prison and you lose your freedom. You are a slave to the state. So
yeah,
it's not as if we're in. How do we have a society without slavery? Like it's not.
He's not on mic here.
Yeah, you're not on mic. Okay, he just left.
Have you noticed that the pervasive, non-rational basis for denying God and the God of the Bible? These people are not rational. Welcome, Garrett. Do you accept God as your creator?
No, I don't.
Do you have a justification for that?
Yes, because there's 2 reasons. Number one, I haven't been provided enough evidence to say that God does exist. And number 2, the Old Testament and the New Testaments are so magnificently different. And God didn't change them Nobody says that God changed them. The
Okay,
king changed them.
so
So that
so let's
doesn't
deal with the
align
first
with.
one. So let's deal with the first one. Is it your criterion of belief in order to believe in a model of reality that you must have evidence for it?
You must have sufficient evidence.
Okay. Is it your criterion that you must have sufficient evidence in order to believe in a model of reality?
Yes.
Okay, what is the sufficient evidence for your model of reality that the world exists with independence from God? What is the sufficient evidence for that?
Reading peer-reviewed scientific journals and evidence.
Yeah, dude, that was colossally stupid. Okay?
Why?
Because it's a category error, okay?
Why?
Because you don't the fact that it appears in scientific papers, it doesn't prove metaphysics.
No, but science is.
You're not okay. Science. Listen to me. Does science establish? Is there any peer-reviewed papers or scientific textbooks that have established sufficient evidence that the world, in fact, exists with independence from God?
No, but that's
okay. Stop right there. Stop right there.
The opposite.
You have now contradicted your own principle.
No, I haven't, because my
sir, listen to no. Sir,
may I,
you're not going to get away with no. I don't want to have to kick you. You have just violated your own principle. You said you required it to be in scientific literature or peer-reviewed papers. So you don't. Do you have sufficient evidence that the world exists with independence from God? Do you have sufficient evidence for that?
No.
Okay, guess what? You violated your own rule now.
May I say something now?
You're going to respond to what I just said rather than ignore. Have you violated your own principle?
No, I haven't. And let me explain.
Okay,
why.
Is it your principle that you require sufficient evidence to believe in a worldview?
Yes.
Do you believe that in your worldview that the world exists with independence from God?
Hang on, do I believe in my own worldview that?
Yeah, in your worldview, do you
believe
believe the world exists with independence from God?
I do not believe that the world exists with a God. However.
Okay, what? Okay, no, don't give me however. Now, what is the sufficient evidence for that?
There is no evidence for God existing.
Guess what? Guess what? I'm going to make it very clear to you, and if you are so dishonest not to admit what just happened, I'm going to kick you. You have now violated the very principle that you used to dismiss the God world. You're violating that principle when you embrace the not God world. Do you realize you violated your own principle?
May I say something about you kicking me?
Bye.
Please.
Bye.
Please.
Okay, goodbye.
Please.
Okay, yeah. Bye. No, yeah. You see how deceitful these people are? I just demonstrated he doesn't even follow his own principle. He requires sufficient evidence for the God world. When I asked him, what's the sufficient evidence for the not God world, he doesn't have any.
If you just admit you contradicted yourself, then Darth would allow you to ask a question or say something after you just...
You see, when I catch them with their hand in the cookie jar, they always want to evade.
And reminder, if you're requesting up, you're volunteering to be of your free will interrogated by Darth. He will ask you questions. You must answer. A response is not necessarily an answer. If you're not answering directly, he will interrupt you and force you to answer the question, or you will be kicked. Those are the rules. And so
the reason why I am so assertive and confrontational is because 98% of my interlocutors are evasive.
I just want to keep repeating that because I don't want to hear any excuses about like, oh, it wasn't treated well. So I want them to know full well what they're signing up for.
Do you understand? You understand what he just said, James?
I understand what he said, yeah.
Okay, James, do you accept God as your creator?
I do not.
Do you have a justification for that?
I do. It's because fucking living my life, I've never seen an active God. I've never seen any of that. Okay.
Okay. So James, are there things that are fundamental parameters of existence that you can't see with your eyes?
Define fundamental parameters of existence.
The uniformity of nature.
That's just biology.
No, you can't see the uniformity of nature. It's not something that anybody can see.
No, I'm not saying we can see it. It's just biology.
James, how old are you?
I am 28.
Okay, so James, it doesn't logically follow because you don't see the creator, therefore the creator doesn't exist.
I'm not saying the creator doesn't exist.
Okay, James, so now you're going to shapeshift from a God denier to you're just unconvinced. Is that correct?
No, I'm not saying I'm doing that.
James, listen carefully.
You're getting loud again.
I get sick to my stomach when talking with people like you who are deceitful and you are evasive. Okay?
I was raised a fucking Christian.
I don't care about your biography, James. Do you understand that if you refuse to acknowledge that God is and that he has revealed himself, that will constitute either a direct or an indirect denial of God? Are we clear on that last point?
Yes, I am. That's why I want to explain to you.
Okay, so you no longer can claim you're not denying God. So the fact that you don't see the creator, it doesn't logically and necessarily follow from that a creator doesn't exist. So do you realize that your rationale doesn't logically get you that there's no God?
Yes, I do.
Good. Do you have any other rationale that God does not exist?
It's from life experiences and stuff. I'm not saying that he doesn't exist. I'm just saying experience.
Okay, Have you hold on a second. Have you been drinking tonight?
No, I have not.
Because you just admitted a minute ago that you were denying God.
Yes, I did.
See, good. So now you're contradicting yourself because you just said, well, I'm not saying God doesn't exist. A couple of minutes ago, you did say God doesn't exist.
No.
That's why I asked you if you've been drinking tonight.
I have not been drinking tonight, okay?
Good. Then why are you contradicting yourself?
Because listen, would you listen to what I'm going to say?
Goodbye. You see what we're dealing with here, folks? 1 minute they deny God, the next minute go, oh, I'm not saying God doesn't exist. I'm just unconvinced.
Awesome.
You see how deceptive they are?
It's like, would you listen to what I gotta say? And you're like, goodbye. Oh,
you see how devious and deceitful these people are? At one point in the conversation, they will deny God. Then when you call them on the carpet to give a justification why God doesn't exist, and you say, okay, what you just said, that doesn't follow from that God doesn't exist. And then they realize that they've got nothing else. And then they go, I'm not denying God. I'm just unconvinced. Welcome, Maddie. Do you accept God as your creator?
No.
Okay. Do you deny God, or do you claim just simply to be unconvinced without the denial of God?
Well, I'm unconvinced.
Okay. So, do you realize that that's an indirect denial of God? Do you refuse to accept the necessity of God?
I'm not beholden to fear or judgment.
So you're not answering my question. That is an evasive response. Dodge, and I'll remove you. Okay.
Well, can you explain what you mean by God?
Do you accept the necessity of God? Yes or no?
I don't understand what you mean by God.
Goodbye. He didn't take his vitamins this morning, folks. You see, they can't help themselves but be deceptive and evasive. I'm not removing people because I don't like what I'm hearing. You're getting removed when you're making it abundantly clear to me that you're going to cheat in the conversation, that you're going to be deceitful, you're going to be evasive. I don't want to talk with people like that.
Once again, if you come up, you will be interrogated by Darth, meaning you have to answer the questions directly, not simply respond. Darth will interrupt you if you're giving a response that is not a direct answer, and you are volunteering by requesting because you know the deal. This is obvious what's happening here. I don't want to hear complaints.
Yeah. If you dodge my reasonable questions, You're going to get kicked. Okay? I'm not going to have somebody waste my time. How do you say your name?
Zio.
Yeah, you got to get closer to your microphone.
It's pronounced Zio.
Yeah, we're not doing this.
Yeah, the mic quality was kind of bad on that one.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit there and struggle. Yeah, I like that wallpaper.
Yeah.
Elron, do you accept God as your creator?
No, I don't.
Do you have a justification for the not God world?
Yes, sir, I do.
What is it?
That I only answer to time and nature. And those are the only things that really guide my
That's
life.
not a. All you're just doing is you're restating indirectly that God doesn't exist by invoking naturalism. How is naturalism true?
Because it's proven.
Where? Who proved that?
We prove it
Where?
just by living life and knowing the things that we've knowing the
Hey,
fact.
Ron. There is no statement in scientific textbooks that naturalism is true. They're not there. So either you are grotesquely uneducated or you're lying.
No, you're misunderstanding me.
Can you show me one scientific textbook that says naturalism has been empirically verified?
I can give you something better.
Okay, I can't do this. Because if I continue with him, I will be suspended by TikTok for speaking the truth about his intelligence level. It never ceases to amaze me. Okay. You see, folks, you want to think this is a joke. Life is short. God is calling you to repentance and faith in Jesus Christ. Believing that you have no reason to believe in God is going to damn your soul. Even if you do believe in God, your soul will still be damned. You have to come to Jesus Christ. Okay? We're just trying to reach out to those skeptics and unbelievers that they're just on the run from God and they're not going to escape. They can fool themselves in this lifetime, but they're not being rational. Welcome, Dan.
Hello.
Do you accept God as your creator?
I don't know.
I didn't hear you.
I don't. Sorry, no. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah. I heard you, but all I heard was something like "I don't." So.
No, I don't know. Sorry.
Oh, okay. So you're claiming that you're just unconvinced. Is that it?
Yes.
Okay. Do you accept the necessity of God?
No.
Okay. Then you are denying God's existence when you refuse to accept his necessity. So we can stop playing this little game that you're unconvinced. You are denying the existence of God indirectly by virtue that you refuse to accept his necessity. Okay?
Yeah, I do understand that, yes.
Okay. So you deny God. Denying God can be direct or indirect. It doesn't make any difference. So the fact of the matter is, does every self-identifying atheist who denies the existence of God, is it true that they don't know that God exists? Well, the answer is yes. They don't know that God exists, and that's entirely consistent with them denying the existence of God. So telling me you don't know doesn't really answer the question as to whether you existence or not. So now that we got it clear that you're denying God's existence, can you tell me why there is no God?
Well, it's not that.
Darth, your mic changed, by the way. I think your AirPod.
Hello?
Yeah, I had to switch my headset. Yeah. I would like a justification for the not God world.
Because, like, you know the Bible, yeah? Do you follow the Bible? Is that what you follow, the Bible?
Yeah, I'm waiting for a justification for the not God world.
That's what I'm going to give you now.
Okay, criticizing the Bible doesn't get you to the not God world.
I'm not
Look,
criticizing it.
sir, I've been doing this for 14 years.
I'm not
I know
criticizing it
all
though,
of the
bro.
diversionary tactics. I
I'm not
want you to
doing that.
explain to me why. Okay,
I
Dan,
promise you,
I
I've
want
got
you. Okay, goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. Okay. Isn't it amazing how they have a Viagra induced hate fetish against the Bible? Okay.
Well, it's just confirmation of what the Bible says every time they come up to try to debunk it.
Welcome, Neil. Do you accept God as your creator?
He's still.
No.
Do you have a justification that God doesn't exist?
I need to understand the question better.
Do you have a justification that there is no creator God?
The question doesn't make sense.
Yeah, neither does your face. Isn't it amazing how blatantly deceptive and evasive they are? And yet they would have us believe that atheists are on the cutting edge of reason and logic.
I like that strategy when, like, well, if I just don't understand anything they say, they can't ever win the debate. Like, okay, like, interesting.
Well, have you ever heard my maxim? It's called they stagnate the conversation to stalemate it. Stagnate to stalemate. That's their strategy.
Exactly. So once again, the rules are: if you request up, you are agreeing to be interrogated by Darth. He will ask you questions. You must answer. Responses aren't necessarily answers. You have to directly answer. You'll be interrupted if you're not answering.
If you're evasive or deceptive, I'm going to reprimand you. Okay? I'm going to even get more aggressive. If you play golly gee shucks, I don't know what basic English words mean, then I'm going to reprimand you and kick you. Welcome, Serenity. Do you accept that God is your creator?
I'm agnostic, just like that little thing said, and then you cover off.
Yeah, and
Yes,
I'm Jeff Bezos. Did you know that? I'm Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, no, I get it, but I mean, everybody. So
Yeah, telling me you're agnostic is verbal camouflage to hide your God denialism. Do you accept or reject the necessity of God?
no. First off, there's no necessity for it.
Do you? Okay, so when you just said that, good. So you no longer can claim that you're an agnostic, because when you say there's no necessity of God, that constitutes the indirect denial of God. Are we clear?
So, have you ever heard of deism?
Okay, listen carefully to me. Deism, you just told me you don't accept the necessity of God,
Yeah,
right?
but you can still believe that there is a God without
Okay,
the fact that you don't even want to have an argument. It just seems like you just want to talk. But go ahead.
Serenity.
Go ahead.
A deist does not reject the necessity of God. You just told me that you reject the necessity of God.
In the
Did I
way that
not
the
hear?
Christianity Bible portrays it to be.
Serenity.
Nah, you're
Why
too
is it that?
condescending.
Okay,
No, never mind. I'm good.
goodbye, goodbye. It's just amazing, you know. You know what I think they all might have in common. I think the common thread is low information, low IQ, and they're Kamala Harris supporters.
That's the unity.
Yeah, I think that's the common thread: low information, low IQ, and they're Kamala Harris supporters.
Okay, we're getting down there. We're scared. I think we're starting to scare them off. There's a lot of people for a while there.
Look, if you're not very smart, don't come up here. I want to talk with intelligent unbelievers. Right? If you're recovering from the flu, if you're a Kamala Harris supporter, if you're low IQ, low information, please don't come up. No, not you, Ron. Bye, Ron. All right, I'm gonna let you take over. Once again, we see that the atheists are deceptive, they're evasive, and that's all they've got, right? They're one-trick ponies.
All right.
What does the number mean above my avatar?
I think that's like people donating to you.
Oh, okay. What does that even mean?
I think it's related to donations. So based on the amount people have donated you get a certain number or whatever. So you have $6.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So that means you made $6.
Is it does it carry over every day, or is it just for the day?
Haven't you noticed don't you make money? Don't you know how like TikTok is connected to my PayPal, so like if people
No, I
donate.
haven't even looked at that.
Oh yeah, there's people have probably sent you a bunch of money. You probably got like $100 or more.
Okay, I don't. Where would I look that up?
Oh, actually, your one account got banned, so that sucks. You should have got that money before it got banned. People.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'm not worried about it.
Yeah. Anyways, that's what that is.
Okay. All right. I'll let you take that over. But once again, they're deceptive and evasive, and I think it's disgusting. Okay. Hey, you know what? When they stand before God, they're gonna be very sorry. Anyway, thanks for having me up.
No, we're just gonna tell Darth to check his wallet, right? Because he probably has like a lot of money that he just hasn't, checked
Yeah.
out.
Well, you know that sucks because his account got banned. There's probably a bunch of money in that account. I guess if they ban it, then he doesn't get it.
But shouldn't there be a way in which like he should still be able to get it though?
I have no idea.
If not, that actually sucks.
I bet he had like a couple $100 in there at least. Like he
Yeah, because
probably maybe like 300. I seen he
it's just
get
like his
he get
first
lots of
time.
donations and stuff.
It's just like his first time ever figuring out. It seems like I don't even think he knew what it was.
Well, Joe Biden moment, I guess.
Yeah, that was crazy.
he is 63, right? So he doesn't get the social
old man.
media. He doesn't get the social media
Yeah.
apps as easily. But yeah.
All
Anyway,
right, destroy these atheists.
you want to hang out? What's up, man?
What's up, brother? You remember me, man?
Yes.
What's going on, man? How you doing?
You're friends with Darth, right? I see you go live. You like debate Muslims a lot.
Yeah. I debate Islam and stuff. Have you tuned in?
A little bit. I'm kind of like, I'm more into like debating atheists. I'm not so interested in debating Islam, I guess. But
yeah, I've been screen recording your live, bro. I might upload some clips. Is that all right?
Yeah, for sure.
Bet.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I thought Darth was in form tonight. Fine form.
I was gonna ask Jack, Jocelyn. I'm ethnically Jewish, but I'm not religiously Jewish. No, I saw Jack Bob in Q-Top's, what's it called? In Q-Top's comment section when he was debating with Flat Earth, because Q-Top, he made the claim that science is fake. And I was like, what? Like, come on. And I saw Jack Bob in there, and I was like, okay, I hope Jack Bob isn't a flat earther either, But yeah, honestly, to everyone watching, Christian or not, stay away from Q-Top. He's a PDF. Yeah, whatever this guy's saying, that's what he is in the comment section. Execution, you're right. I advise all Christians to stay away from that guy.
Well,
He's crazy.
I don't know him, but I mean, if he's saying that the Earth is flat, then he does not have the same.
He said that child marriage is allowed in the Bible. That's what he claimed.
Well, he should be a Muslim then.
Yeah, exactly. And then he got debunked by Inspiring Philosophy. Inspiring Philosophy, yeah, we're talking about Q-Top, truth is objective. He got stitched by Inspiring Philosophy, and he got debunked by him, and then he never did it again. But yeah, now he's advocating for flat Earth, and Darth actually blocked him when he found out that he was flat Earther. So
yeah, the flat Earth thing is pretty annoying because it discredits. So anything flat Earth touches, it would discredit. So, like, if people think Christianity is associated with flat Earth, that will discredit Christianity in their minds. So,
right.
Yeah, it's good to be distanced from the stuff because that's obviously false.
Yeah, I liked his politics stuff, but I don't know. He should stick to politics. I mean, he was claiming that science is false. So, and then he went in Darth's live on his alt account, and he was like, "Prove rotation, prove the Earth is rotating." Like, are you serious right now? Like, come on, man.
It's there's actually ways to do that with how, I guess depending on if you're moving from east to west, things will weigh differently because of the spin of the Earth. But this isn't like a science live.
And he's been copying Darth a lot. Like, you know how Darth, he'll say sir. Yeah, that's what he's been doing too.
I've seen that, but he doesn't really like understand the argument, so he just keeps going, how do you know that you are who you are?
Yeah, it's ridiculous, bro.
Yeah. Well, what are you gonna do? There's crazy people, so that's just like.
Sorry, give me a second.
But man, I got like dinner here. There's like a bunch. This is like the most people I've ever had watching though. It's pretty awesome. So many people are watching. I appreciate you guys watching, even if you guys don't like me, or even the people that don't like me. But I don't know. I feel like probably a good time. We've been going for a while now. I think this would be a good time to take a break because I want to eat and to some extent, less is more. We shouldn't go on and on and on. But I think we've proven our point. God exists. The atheists have nothing. The atheist influencers are just kind of like, I feel bad because they're getting these people all confident that atheism is true, and then they come up, try to debate it, and they get destroyed because they have no evidence or reason to think atheism is true, and the atheist influencers aren't providing their listeners with any evidence for atheism, and so how are they going to debate it? They're just setting them up for failure, and they're raking in money from you guys. So, anyways, I wish all the atheists, I wish you guys well, and God bless all the theists. Yeah, God bless.
Okay.